everybody, and welcome into my latest live feed. Today is the 5th of June, 2020. It's Friday. My name is Carey Holzman, and thank you guys for joining me today. Back again for more fun is my good friend, former PC World journalist, Steve Bass. Hey, Steve, welcome back into the show.
Hey, Carey,
I
how are
am
you?
hyped up, excited, and ready for today's show.
Are you
I am actually.
excited?
I'm
You
very,
look
I'm very
excited.
excited. You can't tell because no one told my face, but I am excited.
Yep,
I want to let
yep.
everybody know
And
that
you've got a
Steve is a man of multiple talents. And earlier in the week, I guess it's been 2 weeks, he started sending me photographs that will shock you. Let me show you. Yeah, look at this. This man knows how to make a bagel. Now, I grew up in Michigan, in Detroit, and bagels were a way of life. And these bagels, it should cycle through some photos of these bagels. And I just thought, how cruel are you to send me photos of these bagels because they look delicious. And you know what? It's
oh,
supposed to be cycling through
wow.
photos, and it's not cycling. Of course, it's not going to cycle. Um,
Is the
this,
cable plugged in?
hold on. No, it isn't. Well, anyway, there's a couple of photos here, and I guess I'm going to have to force these photos to change. Gosh darn it. It's supposed to be up for like 8 seconds and then switch. And let's start it. Let me start it, stop it again. Yeah.
Technology, technology.
I'll turn it off and
It's
back on
tough,
again.
I
Here we
know.
go. So you can see he's boiling the bagels. That's the proper way. Although my brother said, there's another photo. My brother said in Detroit they throw barley in with the bagels when they boil them. Is that something you do? See?
Yeah, yeah. Don't use
Oh, not
barley.
barley?
Oh,
Oh,
look at
that looks
that.
so good. That is so good. Oh my
Oh,
God. That was practically evil for you to send me these pictures because like I said, I grew up eating bagels, and in the West, in Arizona specifically, there's just no good bagels. So
no,
I went
there are
out
no
to the
good bagels.
mailbox. Steve says, check your mail. And I got them in the freezer. I've got I've got some frozen bagels from the Steve Bass International Kitchen. And then these are hard to come by. I was going to
Bagel,
sell them on eBay, but
Bass International
Bass
Bakery.
International Bakery. I just thought, an older Jewish guy making bagels. I bet he knows what he's doing. It's just a theory.
Yep, yep. I
I haven't been into them yet, but here's the other thing. So Steve's a couple days later, when I was out doing videos over at Newegg, Steve brought me sourdough that he made himself, and he's like, "You better go check your mailbox because that was 111 degrees yesterday." Oh, this smells so. So not only does he know how to make bagels, but look at this sourdough. Look at it. Look at the beauty. If I trip over all my cables, look at the beauty of this.
mm,
I will say this definitely doesn't smell like Bass. This is this is
definitely not.
sourdough, which is like my favorite kind of bread ever. And of course, there's no preservatives or anything in it, so I have to eat it quickly. So bear with me as I just eat this whole thing right now. No, I'm kidding. I'm just going to take a bite, but I wanted to try it on camera so everybody can enjoy it virtually with me since I don't know, you can send out.
All right, well, while you're cutting, let me tell you about sourdough. That will last 3 weeks outside. It'll get a
Yeah.
little dry, but it won't get moldy because the sourdough
Oh,
preserves it.
well, I don't know that
Yep.
it'll last 3 weeks, but
Mm,
that's. Did you say 3 weeks? Oh,
easily
look
three
at this.
weeks.
I gotta
Sure.
show everybody the texture. Oh, Jimmy's in here. Jimmy wants some.
I'll bet. Oh,
Right?
look at that.
Right?
That's called a crumb. Is that a crumb like you've never
It's
seen, huh?
airy. I like that. Okay, hold on. Now I have to do the taste test. I'm a very fussy eater. I don't just eat anything. It has to be of above a certain minimal standard. So let me grab my butter. And if I get sick during today's live stream,
You can blame me. Send me the bill.
I wish it was fresh from the oven. It's a little, it's room temperature, so
Yeah,
it's a little
yeah.
tough. Well, the crust, you know, the crust. Tell us what's going on with you, Steve. You can't talk right now. I'm kind of busy.
It's funny. Okay, so did you get my
I did.
instructions? There was documentation.
Steve sent me a bag of dough, which I thought was to make my own sourdough, but apparently it's for pizza crust. Are you recommending pizza crust?
So yeah, so it's the same sourdough
Sure.
recipe, very similar. So where is the pizza dough right now?
Oh, you got to talk to me when I'm eating? That's so
And
rude.
tell me what it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fine. It's your show. Look,
Well, what did I do with it? Oh, I put it in the freezer. Here it is.
good.
Let's see. Let me switch so everybody can see. Yeah.
Oh, it looks fine. It got a little big, got a little
Well,
melted.
it was in the. We have a metal community mailbox, and it was in there for about an hour. So it wasn't too bad. The little ice packs you put in those little things to keep it cold, those probably melted hours after you. Oh wait, this goes back in the freezer. I'll take it back out when I'm ready to do a pizza crust. Pizza crust sounds like a lot of work because you know you got to roll it out. But I mean, you've done the hard work.
No, I gave you a manual for
You
the
did.
pizza dough,
You
didn't
did.
I?
You know, I don't like reading manuals. They're kind of
All
like
right.
cheating. But
Yeah. Well, you can always call tech support.
excellent. I just might. Quick shout out to some generous viewers here today. Thomas
Wow.
Beckenstowe has contributed $100. Look at that. Thank you, Thomas. Ed Schwartz with a $2 contribution says, I'm really looking forward to this. Zdravko Franjevic has contributed 100 HRK. I'm not sure what that is. And earlier, David Griswold with a $10 contribution says, hello, Carey. I hope all is well with you, and I'm looking forward to this live stream. Hello to everyone in chat. Carey Holzman is live in Technicolor. Mark Stevens contributed $5. And he says, hey, Carey, your wrenches are here. Frankie B with a nice $50 contribution. Thank you so much, Frankie. And Rain Full with the first contribution today of $2 Canadian. I also want to give a shout out to John Jack Wilson. He made a large contribution via PayPal today to support the channel, and I really want to send my appreciation and deepest gratitude to John for his continued support. As you may remember, John's the guy who sent in a laptop he had purchased, and he didn't like it. And he was going to send it back, and he thought, as a veteran, he'd like to give that laptop to another veteran, but did not know who. So he asked me if he mailed me this brand new laptop, if I would find a veteran in need to give it to. And that's exactly what we did here. He's a very generous guy, and a big shout out and thank you to him, as well as everybody who's joining us today in the live chat. We've got about 500 people watching live, and I think that means we're about ready to get started. What do you think?
I'm
You ready to do
Let's
this?
go.
All right. Well, now
Yeah, let's go sit at the table.
let's talk for a minute. Just one more minute. Just so people
sure.
know, you are not a computer builder.
I'm not
As
a computer
a technical journalist, what was your expertise back in the day when you wrote for PC World Magazine? And don't mind me, I can't just let this sit here. Like,
builder. No. Put some more butter on it. It's good for your heart.
I don't have a heart. That's a rumor.
What did I do at PC World? I wrote about practically everything, except moaning.
What?
Would you?
Oh, was I moaning?
Say that? What?
I thought that was only in
Yeah.
my head.
You know, it would be better if you threw that in the toaster.
Oh, yeah.
Just a
Oh,
little
no.
bit.
I know.
Did you read? You read. You know, cut off a big chunk, throw it in the oven, 250 degrees for
Ooh, I
about
didn't
10
know
minutes.
about that. What about
Oh,
garlic butter? Would that be good on here?
oh, that would be
Mm,
lovely on there. Sure would.
mm. I'm gonna
So would
murder
cheese.
this.
So would a salami
Hmm?
sandwich. So would be a
You sent
BLT.
this bread to its death. It's going to be brutally murdered. Hmm.
Brutally murdered. Well, the next thing we're going to do a live stream of you doing a sourdough batter and a
It sounds like it's
sourdough
going to be
bread.
messy.
Easy peasy.
We'll see. Let's do the computer first. So
Yeah,
you didn't do, when you did like software and hardware reviews?
I did anything that I felt like. The privilege of doing the column was anything that struck me that was interesting, I would write about. One of my first columns was called Have It Your Way. And it was a play on McDonald's
Burger
back in
King.
the old days. And I built a computer back in 1995. And I did it on my own dining room table, and it was a horror. You know what I hated the most? Let me look up at the camera. Um, those little plastic standouts.
I have so many of those. You want me to send you
Oh,
some?
no, but in fact, wait a minute. Let me tell you the other thing. Yes, I wrote about a lot of things. I've built how many computers? One, two, three, maybe a total of five. Four of them were over at Build Your PC, Build Your Own PC. That was a promotion for what was the name of the company in
You're talking about the Tiger Direct PC build race?
Tiger Direct PC, right? And those were half built for us. And then I built a machine with you
Hmm.
at Newegg, which we don't have the tape
No,
for.
unfortunately. It was never used. It hit the cutting room
No,
floor.
right?
And I'm still upset
But
about it, by
let
the
me
way.
tell you,
No good excuse.
yeah, well, go tweet the
Tweet the
mayor.
mayor.
Maybe they'll help.
Yeah, I'm sure he's not really got anything else on his plate
Yeah.
right now. I got to put the sourdough back so it doesn't get hard, you know? Oh
Yeah.
my God, that's really good.
Could
I'm not
make a
just
little
saying
bit
that's
more.
really good. That's really good. If you ever wanted to send me another one of these, I wouldn't get angry.
I'll
Just
bet
saying.
you wouldn't.
Just putting that out there.
And yeah, and listen, one aside, Carey, is my sister has been watching these videos, these live streams, and she only gets maybe four bagels. She's never gotten a sourdough loaf
What's
like
your
that.
sister's name? Patty.
Patty, Patty.
Patty. I'm
Good.
special.
But
My mama said so.
Patty, Patty has never offered to help me build a
Oh,
PC. So,
see, Patty.
quid pro quo.
My back's a little itchy. Can you get that? That's right. You scratch my back, I scratch yours.
Okay,
Isn't that what that is? Okay. Um,
that's what it is. Okay, the other great thing about this, Carrie, the other side effect, the other byproduct was, let's see if I can show this. Nah, it's really hard. The rest of my office was such a
oh,
mess.
you had to clean your office
There
to
were
get ready for
crustaceans
today?
of just, I had to clean up because I couldn't move, I couldn't get the table. The other thing I found, wait a minute, stay right there.
It's all live, ladies and gentlemen. This is live, unrehearsed, and unscripted.
Yeah,
What are you
these
showing
are,
me? Uh,
yeah, you know what these are. These are
no, I don't.
pins. These are pins from a SCSI drive.
Holy moly. No. The SCSI
Yeah,
drives
yeah.
I used didn't use pins that small. We used Terminators, and they were bigger
Yep,
than IDE.
we had those too.
Yeah,
And
those I never
I've got a
used. Jumpers.
bunch of little jumpers.
Yep.
No, wait, no, wait. No, it gets better.
Well, you found all this stuff when you were cleaning up, did you? Oh, extra screws.
Screws.
See?
Oh, not just a few screws.
No, you've got a number of screws loose.
Look at those.
Yeah, look at those are
I mean,
organized. My OCD likes that. Show that again.
you like that?
Yeah.
They're by size. They're by color.
Look at that.
Wait,
It's
wait.
making my OCDs tingle.
Do you remember what these are? These are very valuable metal standoffs.
Lower it down just a little. Huh. That must be for a proprietary case.
Maybe,
Yeah.
but, but look, I don't know.
It's a good thing you held on to those. I mean, if
you
you'd have
can't
thrown those
see it,
away years
but,
ago,
but you
I
can
can't
hear it.
imagine
Listen,
the regret you'd feel right now.
do you hear those go in the trash?
Oh,
Man, that felt so good.
which one of us is the
I
therapist?
that's right. I still have. I don't have the SCSI drives, but I have a couple of
Thank
those end
goodness.
caps.
Yeah, well, you never know. They might be coming back any time now. Every 20 years,
Anytime.
the fashion and technology. Do you have any idea how much a Sony Walkman goes for on eBay right now?
Can't imagine. No.
It's stupid. It's ridiculously stupid. Yeah. Don't
Well,
try to
I'm
buy
holding
one.
out. I'm holding out. I've got the complete set of brand new shrink wrapped WordStar 3.1.
Yeah, well,
As soon as as
too,
soon as it goes up on eBay,
yeah, too bad it's not a Sony Walkman. You could buy a new house.
I probably could. All right, can we get to work?
Absolutely. Let's get your table in position and we'll get ready
Let's
to
look
get
at this.
started.
20 minutes of talking and watching you eat my sourdough bread.
Yeah, well, if I had a nickel every time somebody said that. So let's uh,
All right.
let's move that table back in position. I'm going to be showing you what to do close up, and then you'll be following along with me. I see you've got the Carey Holzman approved screwdriver. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen. He's got the real deal right there with the #2 Phillips bit on the end, and then the extra bits are in the handle. That all the
Yep,
parts
yep.
like that tool, that screwdriver, is available at Amazon. If you look at the show notes, you'll see I have an Amazon store, and everything you see is available to purchase there. I will warn you that many computer parts are out of stock right now. So the motherboard we're using is out of stock at Amazon. It's only a $75 motherboard. The case is a $70 case. That's out of stock. So a lot of things are out of stock at the moment. However, all the parts are listed in the video notes below the video, and any of the Amazon links that you click on in the notes below my video that take you to Amazon, if you make any purchase from Amazon, anything at all, I make a small commission here. So it's another way to show your support for the channel. Your price doesn't change. Nothing, as far as the purchaser is concerned, nothing changes. The only difference is whether or not Amazon shares some of the profit with me, and that's because my link took you to their page, regardless of what product you purchase once you're there. So my thanks to everybody for supporting the show. Ronaldo Torres has contributed $10, and Niles Van de Sand has contributed €2. They say, I think Steve needs to remove the tablecloth. No, we don't want to scratch up the table. That won't be a problem.
Well, I could. Would
I
it?
don't know. You know what we need to do, though? I see you've got the motherboard out. You've got the solid state drive. I need you to also take out the RAM, or at least bring
Oh,
out the
not gonna.
box for the RAM and the CPU. And I'd like for you to take the motherboard box and place the motherboard on top of it. You can go ahead and remove the motherboard from the anti-static bag, and you can get rid of the anti-static bag and just place the raw board right on top of the box. And then we don't have to worry about that cloth on the table regardless. Geo Johnson with a $5 contribution. He says, PC World was my favorite computer magazine. I used to archive them for future reference. I loved Steve's column too. Looking
You
forward to
read
the
it.
build.
He absolutely read my column.
It
How
wasn't
cool.
just me. I got that PC World magazine in the mail, and I went right to the back page. You know you're a big deal when you're on the back page. So it's back
Inside
page
back
Steve.
cover.
Yeah,
Yep,
back page
yep,
Steve.
yep.
Rick Hubbard with a £3 contribution, watching us from England. Hey, Rick, thank you. And Winston Anglu from Canada contributes $2 Canadian. Thanks to all of you. They're all regular contributors here, regular viewers. Looks like we've got about, what does it say? 579 people watching with only 106 likes. If you guys want to see more content like this, you can let me know by hitting that little thumbs up underneath the video. It's a kind thing to do. It costs you nothing, and this video costs you nothing. And, it's a nice way to just show a little appreciation if you want to. we're going to start today talking about the parts. So I've got the parts here that Steve's already removed some of his parts from the box, and that's fine. It'll just speed things along. As you can see, we've got a Gigabyte B450M DS3H motherboard. This is a micro ATX board, hence the letter M in the name. Above that, I've got a TP-Link Wi-Fi adapter that's going to go inside of the computer, and that's because Steve said he needed Wi-Fi. And this is a pretty high-end Wi-Fi adapter right up at near the top. Not the most expensive. TP-Link, in my opinion, makes some of the most aggressively priced, excellent networking equipment, whether it's modems, routers, switches, and wireless adapters. And then, of course, for the processor, it's a Ryzen 5. We needed a processor that had built-in graphics because Steve is not gaming with this thing. So we've got the Ryzen 5 3400G. This is about a $150 CPU. And the graphics card is built right into the chip. And, of course, you can add a separate graphics card if you want something more powerful, or if you wanted to turn it into a gaming computer, you just would change or add, rather, a graphics card. For RAM, I decided to go with something different. It's about the cheapest brand of RAM in existence, a company called OLOy. I don't know, OLOy? Not sure how it's pronounced. And I thought, well, let's give them a shot. They don't have any heat shield or anything. It's pretty basic stuff, but very aggressively priced. This is 16 gigs of RAM. It's 2 sticks of 8, and I want to say it was under $60. It was very aggressively priced. For solid-state storage, we're using the Intel, of course. This is the Intel NVMe 1 terabyte QLC. This is going to move data around 2,200 megabytes a second. Not the fastest storage, also not the most expensive. Altogether, all these parts you see here, including the case, come out to about $623 at the time. $614. Well, I had shipping. Or I had sales tax, rather. I had sales tax. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's in the low 600s. Now, there also will be an operating system and a monitor, and I'm not including that because you may choose any of different types of operating systems, whether it's Linux or Windows 10 Home or Pro. And those are nice shoes you got, Steve. Where'd you get those at?
Oh,
Nike?
Man, come on. Don't fiddle with my shoes.
I'm just glad you're
I
not wearing
figured-
flip-flops with them, so we're good. We're good.
Usually I'm sitting down. You don't even see that I have shorts on. And
I'm
now,
just happy to see you have
give
feet.
it away. You want more sourdough, pal, huh? All right.
They're very, very nice socks. A couple other... What's that?
REI socks. But go ahead, carry on. I don't mean to interrupt.
Carry on. All right, I will me on. Sharon Idle contributes £2 and says, available free but well worth paying for. Yeah, you can always download and install Windows 10 for free. You just won't be able to activate it unless you pay for it. Scott Hellenan with a $3 New Zealand contribution. He says, here's some money for Coke to wash down the bread. Right on. Thank you, Scott. Between you and Scott, I'm fed, Ricky Saunders
combination.
Contributed £2.99. He says, good evening. Good evening, Ricky. Thank you. Wayne Bennett with a $5 Canadian contribution. And $20 from Mike Yazzie. Thank you, Mike. I think he also contributed $20 during yesterday's live stream. It was very generous, very kind, and thank you very much to all of you for supporting the channel. Now, what we're going to do first is we're going to prep the motherboard. So you've got your motherboard out on the case, and on the motherboard box. I'm going to do the same thing over here. And what I'm going to do for you guys at home is I'm going to try and get the close-ups real nice and clear on this end. And then Steve's going to follow along, and his camera's just going to remain in that position, so we're not going to get real sharp close-ups. But I'm going to show Steve what to do, so you'll watch me first, and then we'll watch Steve do it. And then back and forth until this is built. How's that sound?
Good. We'll be done in December, I think.
Just in time to upgrade. Okay, I had to have a little elixir of life, and now I'm ready to rock. So what I'm going to do, you'll see all the components I've got here on the table. There's two things I don't need yet, so I want to clear those out of the way. And, well, three things technically. The case, the Wi-Fi adapter, and the power supply. I just want those out of the way. We want to focus on working on a clean work area where we're not likely to knock anything over or cause any damage to anything while we're moving things around. So Here's the motherboard box. Let's go full screen on, no, that's you. Let's go full screen on me. Here's the motherboard box, and inside, you'll see this is all unscripted and unrehearsed. This box is taped closed. Everything I do here is live and real. I want to emphasize nothing's been tested. If any of these parts are dead on arrival, you know, that's the way it goes. I will say that I think it's only happened once. I've been doing this now, well, live a couple of years, but on YouTube since 2008. So I have the confidence of going through this a few times before, that it's highly unlikely that you get bad parts. Inside the box, we've got our SATA cables, which we're not even going to be using at all on this build, and our motherboard. Everything that I have here is exactly the same thing Steve has at his location. Little piece of cardboard, we'll just get rid of that. Our I/O shield, we're going to set that up here because that's going to go back with the case. And remaining in the box are just documentation and a DVD driver. You okay over there?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
I was just sitting down because,
Oh, is that what I heard?
yeah.
This bag is also taped closed. I don't know why Gigabyte does this. I've talked about this endlessly, so I'll save everybody.
Include that in your tweet to the mayor.
Yeah, it's a good thing they taped that bag closed, or this motherboard would have gone boom right through that bag. That's how powerful this board is. It would just break through the box, which is just millimeters wider than the motherboard, rip through the folded bag.
No, Carey, what someone will do is they'll pick the case, they'll pick up the bag, it won't be sealed, and it'll come shooting out of the bag.
I hate it when that happens.
Mm-hmm.
I swear, if that happens one more time, I'm going to start getting angry.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Yeah, all right. So first thing I want to do is give you guys a much better close-up. I'm going to move my camera, so hold on. We're going to go for a little ride. If your motion sickness pops up, I apologize. Strobe lights will be coming next. I joke. Okay, there's our board nice and close up right there.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, you can see it good there, Steve?
Yep, that's good.
Okay. And what we want to do, if I walk around in front of the camera, I apologize. Right here on the board, if you orient your board the same way I've got it, right here you see these holes. And there's a little socket right where my finger is. Do you see that, Steve?
Yep,
Yeah. Can you point at it?
yep. This one here?
Yeah. Now do you see the little tiny screw that is right there?
I do.
I need you to remove that. Now that's a very small screw. I don't know if the screwdriver I sent you will have a pointy enough tip. That's the only screw that's that size. I actually use a special screwdriver for that, a JIS. It's called a JIS screwdriver. It's a Japanese international standard or something. And
I've got a stand. Yeah, go ahead.
The screwdriver kit this particular driver is available on Amazon. It's in my Amazon store. For every other screw, however, the screwdriver I sent you is perfect. This one may be a little bit of a struggle, but I need you to just take that screw out. And keep it nearby because we're going to put it right back in a minute. How you doing over there?
Can you see?
I can.
All right.
All right. Now, I want you to take the solid-state drive. For everybody watching at home, I've got the solid-state drive. Let me back off the camera. It's a little too close. Right here, again, it's brand new. It's never been opened before. Everything, I'm starting to sound like a carnival barker. Everything is live, unrehearsed, and unscripted here on this channel. That's my way of saying, if I misspeak or I do something stupid, it was genuine.
Genuine and unintentional.
Yes, like my life. All right, so there's some documentation in here, which, I like to put all this stuff away, so let's see how far
So
I can put it away.
if we ever have to return it,
Yeah,
Will we sell it?
You're not going to be returning it. And nobody you resell it to is going to want the documentation. If they do, just sell it to somebody else. All right. So inside, this is our solid state storage. This is 1 terabyte of storage in about the shape and size of a stick of Wrigley spearmint gum. I should get paid for specifying the brand and taste of the gum. And what we're going to do is we're going to take it out of its package. You see what I'm doing here, Steve?
Yep.
And you
Already
want
out.
Okay. And you want to hold all these parts by their edges. Try to avoid holding it like this, but instead try and hold
Sure.
it by the edges. And you're going to want to put this drive in. If we zoom in here, see if I can give you a real good view. Right into this socket with the label
up.
will be up, and the little slot will be to your right if you're looking at it the way I'm looking at it.
Yep.
And what you're going to do is you're going to put it in. I can't really see that way. You're going to put it in on a bit of an angle. You're going to line up the edge of the card with the socket, and once it's lined up, you'll just gently push it forward until those little gold connectors disappear. And it should sort of springboard when you do it correctly. How's it looking for you? Let me see.
Perfect. Can you see?
Yeah, go ahead.
I can't do a close-up.
No, you don't need to, but you can kind of push down on that drive just so we can see where it's at. Perfect. Now just put the screw back in. Hold the drive down. And you don't have to tighten it. Just right when it starts to feel snug, that's it. It's just holding the drive. It's beautiful, beautiful. Now I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm just going to hold that down with one finger and bring that right there. And congratulations, 1 terabyte of storage is ready to rock and roll. No power connector needed, no data connector needed. What do you think? Have you ever done that before?
Nice. That's nice. No, I've never used one of these. This is wonderful.
It's pretty cool, right?
And it's small. It's fast.
Yeah, it is fast. It's 4 times faster than a regular SATA-based solid-state drive. Now I want you to grab the box the CPU came in. Oh, you've already got it out. All right, let me catch up.
Ahead of you, pal.
You are. Here. Stay with the rest of the class. So for people who want the full unboxing experience, Steve has taken the fun out of it. That's okay. Sometimes taking the parts out of the box is actually harder than building the computer. And you'll see that this CPU, which is right here, also comes with its own cooling fan, which is in another box inside this box, which was shipped to me in a box. And nothing else in the box. So there's our cooler. This is our, Steve, this is our Go Faster sticker. And if you put this on your computer, it'll run about 10% faster. Oh, they
Probably
gave us...
easier. It's quicker than using WD-40, I know.
Well, have you ever seen a race car that won a race that didn't have stickers all over the car?
True.
So
true.
cars
That's
without
beautiful.
stickers don't win races.
I could probably put one on the back on the bumper of my Prius.
Yeah, I think I'm going to put one on the side of my head. It doesn't make me smarter, but it'll make me quicker. Am I getting anything at all? Nothing. All right.
Nothing.
So,
Nothing.
I got
No.
nothing. Just crickets. That's all right. I don't need any charity laughs.
No, listen, this is we're at a serious juncture of putting this system together.
Yes.
Because the CPU is so delicate. I can't be messing around with laughing at your jokes. I've got to.
Oh, my apologies.
Serious.
My apologies. I didn't mean to distract you from the
Because
work.
if I mess up this CPU and I don't get the pins in right, what are we going to do?
Well, first of all, I want to shake your hand because it would be virtually impossible for you to do that. But, don't let me get in the way of your false expectations appearing real. FEAR. Don't let me get in the way of that. Now, right here, this CPU is incredibly durable. There are some delicate pins on the underside of it, but there's nothing movable here. There's no moving parts. Leaving it in the package like this, I could throw it as far as I could throw it, as hard as I can throw it, and likely it'll be just fine. So where we have to worry is just bending any of the little delicate pins, which, as long as you keep your fingers away from them, you shouldn't have any problem. Now, Steve, before you get too ahead here, we're going to open the package up, like so. And you'll see there's a couple of cutouts in the plastic. Now see, I've opened it upside down. I should have opened it with the pins facing down because I've kind of made it difficult on myself to take this out.
Now you see, you're setting not a good example.
No,
Because you see, I had it face down, and I looked at you, and it was face up. And I said,
yeah,
oh,
you
shit,
did
man.
it correctly. You did it correctly. Now, the
Okay,
important thing is you're going to pick it up by the edges. You're going to find that as a common theme. I don't care what edges you want to hold it. I just don't want you holding it like a potato chip. I want you holding it with your fingers away from these pins. Also, I don't want you touching the top. The top is going to have thermal material. And for the thermal material to effectively transfer heat from this surface to the surface of the heatsink, that thermal material needs to be free of any detritus. Is that a good word?
That's a great word.
You like it? I just learned it the other day.
Well, there's a lot of it in Arizona, so I'm sure you're familiar with it.
But anything from oils from your skin to dust, that can interfere with the efficacy. Yeah, another one? Good one?
Yeah, efficacy, sure.
The detritus affects the efficacy of the thermal interface material, or TIM.
Terrific.
You like it?
Terrific. Yeah, that's good.
Do I sound like I know what I'm talking about? Have I impressed you with
sure
my
do.
vocabulary?
You sure.
What does vocabulary mean? Anyway, so if you look very closely on one corner of the CPU, and this is true of all CPUs, you'll see a little gold triangle. Now, you'll see that in the very lower right of your screen. Let me go full screen on my side. And if I hold it in just the right light, you should see a golden triangle in the bottom right.
Yep, I can see it.
Okay. Now, on the motherboard, if you look closely at the socket, the CPU socket here, let me just set this down so I can use my hands to show you. If you look very closely, do you see a gold, not a gold triangle, but do you see a triangle near any of those
four corners?
I'm going to give you a clue.
Wait a minute here. Oh, I got to stand up.
It's right in that corner. See if I can hold the board. If you look real closely, right there, embedded in the plastic, there's a little triangle.
Could they have made it any smaller? Let's see.
Here's the good news, Steve. Let me show you something. Let me show you something.
All right. Oh, I see it.
I'm going to zoom in here, and I want to show you. Do you notice also, right, you see these little plastic notches that stick up?
Sure.
Okay, those prevent you from putting the CPU in incorrectly. So here's what we're going to do. Watch me first, please. I'm going to hold the CPU by the edges. I'm going to take this lever and I'm going to lift it away and up. All right, now you can do that. Did you lift your lever away and up? Thank you.
Yep.
All right. And now, without looking where the triangle is, I'm just going to set the CPU in any direction. And you'll see the CPU does not sit into the socket. I'm not pushing it down. I'm just resting it on top of the socket.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, if I rotate it and try it again, it's still not seating. Oh, you see it just fell in. You see that?
Yep.
If I take it out
All right.
and I try and put it in the wrong way, again, I'm not pushing down on it. I'm just kind of moving it around the surface. Notice that it doesn't go into the socket. If I turn it in the proper orientation, which is the words Ryzen on the chip are going to face your I/O ports on the back of the board. Now watch, as I just, again, not pressing down, I just move it lightly over the socket, and when it aligns, it just falls in. And then I lower that lever back down, which is going to have a little pressure, and lock it back under the catch. It is now your turn.
Ollie home free. Good.
I heard it.
You could hear the click, right?
Yeah. Well, it wasn't a click. It was just the thud. Now you're touching. You're doing what I said not to do.
Oh, man, that's right. Oh.
Now it's got bass all over it.
There's no, what was the word you used? Detritus?
Yeah.
We
You
don't have
just
any in
you just got a
California.
bunch of bastitritis all over that.
Uh,
Go ahead and lower
well,
your lever back down and lock that CPU in. Have you done this before? Look at him. Look at that skill. Those are the hands of a surgeon.
so I'm going to throw this away.
Okay, how far?
Gone that far. Just
Oh,
went.
I like it. Hold on, I have to get a drink.
Me too.
Are you having fun?
Oh, this is good.
Are you intimidated yet?
Honestly, no,
Good.
because you're guiding me, and worst case is
Just the blind leading the blind. We're going to be okay.
that's it.
All
All
right.
right.
So we're going to put the heatsink on now. Now the heatsink already has thermal material on it, and it's being protected from
From my
contamination,
fingers.
contamination,
Right.
detritus for maximum efficacy. Inside the box, we've got a little piece of plastic that comes out. It's sitting on a similar piece of plastic where the thermal compound has been pre-applied. So you don't have to worry about how much to put on or any of that. When I take this out, the little piece of plastic stays in the box. And you'll see the thermal material right there already applied. Please keep your fingers away from the thermal material.
Way too late.
Okay, now I want you to take the heatsink and I want you to set it down here for a minute because we're not quite ready to install it. There are two different ways AMD heatsinks go onto the motherboards. One is through these little clippy deals. If you look on your motherboard, you'll see you've got these little plastic,
Right.
I think they're called dealy bobbers.
No, actually, it says right here on the side, Dealy Whopper.
Oh,
Who is that
dealy
bopper?
whopper. I thought it was dealy bopper. Well, here's the deal. We're not going to use these because this heatsink right here, if you notice, it's got its own screws.
It does.
Well, let me see if I can. There they are. You can see there's screws. Now, those screws are going to screw into the back plate that these screws here are screwed into. So when we take these screws out, there's a back plate behind the motherboard. This piece right. I'm a little too zoomed in. Let me zoom out a little bit.
Sure.
This
Yeah,
piece right here will just fall out once you remove the screws. But as long as you keep the motherboard flat, it won't move. So I want you right now to remove all four of these screws.
all right.
You and I can do this together. Let's have a race.
Are you kidding?
See who
I
finishes
have my
first.
power screwdriver here.
Now both the screws and the plastic you're not going to use.
Oh, no, but Carey, I'm going to save the screws.
Of course you are. We'll revisit them in
'Cause you
10
never
years.
know.
You never know. Those scuzzy Terminators are coming back any day now. You done yet?
Yeah, I just got a call from a friend who asked me if I had any scuzzy Terminators.
I bet you. I don't think that's what they
And
meant.
I didn't realize I had any, so,
I think that was a euphemism.
who was it?
Yeah, I think they were looking for having somebody killed.
Lo- or a loaf of sourdough. All right.
If a
These
loaf
are
of
going in the
sourdough was a
trash.
scuzzy Terminator, then I'm a dead scuzzy.
Are you ready?
Are you actually going to throw them in the trash?
Yep. Listen.
Oh, you're going to bring a tear to my eye.
Gone.
I am proud of you.
Gone.
Well done.
Okay.
To the man who never throws anything away.
That's true.
There's a little tear to my eye. All right. Now with that done, this heatsink can go on one of two ways. You'll notice an AMD socket is rectangular. An Intel socket is perfectly square. So the heatsink can go every 90 degrees, however you want it. This heatsink can only go on one of two ways because it's rectangular. The screws won't line up. Now, if I just lightly, don't follow along with me yet, I want to explain something.
Right.
If
right.
I just
I'm
lightly set this on top of the CPU, I can put this on this way, or I can turn it 180 degrees and I can put it on this way. But what happens when you put it on this way, you notice how there's this little, I don't know why AMD does this. In my opinion, this should be at the top, right? This AMD
sure.
logo kind of juts out, and it can interfere with
Sure.
your RAM. if you have tall RAM or you've got RGB RAM, because I know you're a big
Yeah,
fan
yeah,
of RGB, this could get in the way. So for that reason, we're going to put the AMD logo, this AMD logo,
right,
towards the I/O shield, towards the back of the board, and I'm going to set it on top and line it up with the posts that are coming through the board from that back plate I showed you just a moment ago. And
right.
what I want to do, and this is really important, is I don't want to tighten any of these screws. I only want to start them. This is like putting on a car tire, where we want to have even pressure so that we don't.
Mm-hmm.
And they are spring-loaded, these screws, so you may have to push down a little bit on them and just get it started. Just a couple of turns, then do the opposite corner, just get it started, and then another corner, get it started. Don't tighten them too much, or you might find getting them started is far more difficult than it really needs to be. And then I can now go back and just try and tighten in a opposites pattern in an equal way. It doesn't have to be scientific. You don't have to count the number of turns. Just kind of feel it. And once you reach a point where the screw will not turn anymore, that's when you're going to stop. And none of these screws have yet bottomed out. Okay, that one stopped. That one has stopped. This one has stopped. And that one has, they're all completely stopped. You don't have to worry. Sometimes on some of the third-party coolers, the screws will just keep tightening and tightening and tightening until you crush the motherboard. In this case,
Sure.
these screws do confirm that they won't go any further. It's your turn, my friend.
So while I do this,
Yeah.
I'm wondering, your screwdriver is yellow. Mine seems to be red.
They changed it in manufacturing. It's very upsetting to me. I like being able to see through the screwdriver to see the bits inside of the handle.
Sure.
But it's still advertised on Amazon as a yellow handle. But there's a little note that says what arrives may be a different color. I haven't seen a yellow-handled screwdriver. That's made by a company called Jensen Tools. And it was a screwdriver I got in 1990. I was working at the power company, and they asked me, they brought a catalog. It must have been a Jensen Tools catalog. And they said, we're ordering screwdrivers for the crew. Pick which one you would like. Now, 30 years later, I still have it. And I've ordered several more of them over the years. I give them out to people. And it's the same driver. It's just got a red handle. And that's your story. See, I have a story for everything, including a screwdriver. So take that to the bank. Do you have any nylon zip ties?
Oh man, sure I do. And it comes in the box with a case.
All right. I want you to, when you're done there,
Wait, I'm not done. I've got to put on another light.
You go do that. I'm going to step away for just a moment because I have to grab a nylon zip tie. I guess there's one in the case I could grab, but I'm going to just grab mine. I'll be right back.
Yeah. Okay, grab yours. Grab one for me too while you're there.
So I have to disconnect my my headphones. I can't hear Steve right now because they're wired. It's a wired headphone. And I'm just going to my back office. Thought I was prepped for today's show, but it's live and unscripted. Have I mentioned that 6 times yet? Okay, so let me do this. The reason is we want to tie up this cable coming off the CPU fan before we put it in the case, or it'll be very difficult to reach once it's installed. Okay, let me just back this up a little bit. How we doing in the chat room, guys? Let me just say hello to the folks in the chat. Well, Steve is busy working over there. Very generous contribution from Ryan Farmer, 100 pounds. He says, here you go again. Ryan contributed 100 pounds yesterday and like 500 pounds the day before that. That's a total of 700 pounds. That's like $900 US.
Wow.
Right? Thank you, Ryan. And Stuart McMillan contributed £9 99p. He says, "Hey, Carey and Steve, it's great to see you live again. Beats seeing us dead. Fantastic content as ever. Have a great weekend. Right on." Hal Darpini has contributed €5. And Hal says, "Hey, Carey, I love your videos. Live a little and have a Pepsi on me. Why don't you live a little and have some heroin?" Now, look, Hal, I appreciate it, but if you don't mind, I'll stay with the Coca-Cola. Hugh Wong has contributed $2. He says, "I enjoy listening to you two kids. Great stuff."
Kids.
Yeah, he calls you a kid, so you just,
I love it.
Steve's your new best friend. I'm sorry my camera angle's really bad right now, guys. I'm trying to trying to do too much. I gotta fire my cameraman. He sucks. All right, so it's funny, Steve. Do your cabinets in your kitchen, do they have handles on them? Pull handles?
Not pull handles, but knobby handles.
You have knobs. So a lot of homes in Arizona, I didn't notice this. I never really thought about it, but I've had a few comments from people saying, "How come your cabinets don't have any handles or knobs?"
Well, it's a building code, isn't it? Arizona building code. You're not allowed to have handles on you.
I've seen the guys building them, and they look like they have handles. But I will say, I went to started looking around friends' homes, even my father's home in Las Vegas, even just different homes on the West Coast. It seems like handles on drawers and cabinets you just don't use them. The cabinets, they have like a cut in the top of just like the cabinets in the drawers.
A little.
You get your fingers under there and you pull it. And they're not magnetic or they don't latch closed. It's just the hinges, and yeah, they need to be replaced. It's all cheap contractor grade stuff I've got because I'm making that big YouTube money. So one of these days, you'll see these cabinets behind me will be replaced, as will these wonderful countertops brought to you by Acme, I think is the name of the company that makes those. But in the meantime, it was just an interesting little tidbit that I never realized that I never thought I should have hardware on my cabinets and drawers.
Well, the one thing that the handles are so valuable for, it's because in about 7 or 8 years after they're put in, they start loosening up or they break.
Yes.
And then you can go to Home Depot and help the economy and replace them all because you can't replace just one because they never match. You've got to get everything.
You have to tighten them while they're loose. Otherwise, you'll eventually lose the screw, and then you're screwed.
All right. So let me tell you.
See what I did?
Let me tell you what I did. Can you see? I've got your screwdriver.
It's beautiful.
Then I've got this screwdriver. And the reason why I took this screwdriver out, I knew I'd need it.
You don't have to boast. I mean, that's really...
Listen to me. Are you listening to me?
I'm not sure you and I are hearing the same thing you're saying.
This rigid part made it really hard to come in and get this. But this cool one, thin, magnetized, $2 at what's the
Harbor
Quartzite?
Freight.
No, Quartzite. Do you know Quartzite?
The city in Arizona, Quartzite?
You don't have an RV, do you?
No.
Aha. The biggest
I don't like to
show
drive around with my own fecal matter.
Got this for...
I prefer to leave it. I don't like to take it with me.
This terrific screwdriver cost me $1.50.
Wow.
Magnetized. It's going to outlast me, but I'm going to put it aside because we're done with that. All right.
I want to just point out to everybody what you're referring to. So just a moment here while I do a close-up on this motherboard. What Steve is saying are these screws on the heatsink. I did struggle with it a little bit, and I was trying to, look, I'm a pro, right? So it's no big deal to me. I don't think much about it. But if you're building for the first time, what Steve is pointing out is his experience was that this magnetic part here that's a little wide was sort of in the way of getting to the screw. It's bumping up against the shroud. And so I had to go in on a little bit of an angle. Steve's saying with his $1.50 screwdriver, because it's narrow all the way across, of course it doesn't have an interchangeable bit, his $1.50
Oh, it doesn't. It doesn't.
Right,
But
so to have the interchangeable bit, you've got to have a little bit of it's got to be a little wider than the bit. That's just science. Anyway, you can see that I just put it on a little angle and tighten it down. However, You can see I cannot straighten the screwdriver. It won't. That's as far up as the screwdriver goes. So you don't want to make sure that you don't cross-thread that screw. But
Right.
if you had a narrower screwdriver that didn't have this wide base, then you would be able to just go completely straight down. And I do believe that was the point you were making with your $1.50 screwdriver. Have I
That's it.
explained that
That's
well?
it.
Okay.
Attaboy.
I like when I get attaboys. Gold star? Could I get a gold star?
Well, not yet. Not yet.
No? All right, I'll
Not a
keep
gold
working.
star,
Man,
just an
you're
attaboy.
strict.
Let's.
Tough to please here. I'm going to grab just a
All
little
right, so
4-inch cable tie. And what I want to do, I want you to watch me now, Steve. Watch me
I'm
work.
gonna watch. I'm watching.
Okay. I'm going to take this cable. Wait. Probably need to see what I'm doing, huh? Let's get you zoomed in a little bit more. This cable is going to go, it's going to plug in right here on the board where it's got a gray plug right here. Right? And the reason I
Right.
want to tie this up, look, if I just plug this in as it is, just like this, you'll see it only goes in one way. It's got a little groove. See that?
Yep.
And it
Yep.
lines up, so you can only plug it in one way. And if I plug that in, didn't feel right, so I just want to do it again. You'll see that there's no way that this wire can interfere with this fan. However, depending on how we install it, depending on what fan we use, sometimes the loose wire can interfere with the fan. And you'll never know. The fan simply won't spin, and your CPU is going to overheat. And then, of course, there's the aesthetics. There's the look of it and the cleanliness of not having loose cables when you need to work on the system for any reason. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take the cable. Watch how I do this. I just fold it in while it's plugged in so I can determine how much of it is slack. Are you getting a good view of that? Or am I?
Yep, I got it.
And I like to keep it nice and neat by folding it on top of itself, but I suppose you don't have to be that OCD if you don't want to be.
Sure.
It's just important that you tie it up now. And while it's tied up, we just grab a single cable tie, nylon zip tie. And before I tighten it completely, this is my last opportunity to make it look pretty and to pull in any additional slack to tighten. You don't want to make it so tight it pulls the cable out of the socket either. And then I can tighten it up like so, and then I grab my wire cutters and cut that little pigtail off. And now look how pretty that looks.
Oh, neat.
All right. How about you? How you doing over
On,
there?
on RVs, we call them neat and tidy.
Neat and tidy. I like it. Neat and tidy is a good motto for computer building.
One of the things about ties that I've never liked is that I never get it in the right way the first time.
This sounds like a USB plug. It can
Exactly.
only go in one of two ways, but it takes 3 attempts.
All right, here we go. I'm looking at it. Do you want to look? Can you see? You can't see, but you have to trust me.
Well, I don't see the cable, and that means you did a good job. Now, this is an optional step. If you're building your computer, this is not important. It's just a matter of pride. Looking through the chat room here, and they're telling me you were having problems getting the screws started on the heatsink. It's important that everybody goes at their own pace, right? So Steve has no point of reference because he's never done this before, but you'll see he got it figured out. You have to be patient with people when you're teaching. You have to give them an opportunity to let them figure it out. If you let them figure it out, it's a lesson that stays with them more than if you just give them the cheat sheet.
Yeah, let me talk to that issue. What was happening is I tightened up 2 of the heatsink screws a little bit too far, pushed them in too far, screwed them in too far, so the other 2 were a little high up. I realized that and just loosened up the 2 that I started with and then readjusted. Okay, and you notice
And
this
you
came with
learned
the
that
kit.
way, didn't you? Now you
I
understand
did.
why. You didn't have to just take my word for it. You experienced it firsthand, and you went, I'm picking up what he's putting down.
And it wasn't all that difficult. So I've got my own little clippers, just like you do.
Yep.
Came with the kit.
And just take it as close down to the nub as you can. If you leave a little
Okay.
bit, it's kind of sharp, and if you put your hand in there, it could cut you. Oh, speaking of
Would you want
tools
that?
that we need for this build, you should have a
Yeah,
screwdriver, some wire cutters, and some band-aids.
yeah, I've got the Band-Aids. They're sitting here. In fact, I already put one on just in case.
You put a
All right.
band-aid on in
Yeah,
advance?
do you save the ends of these ties?
Yeah, yeah, I do.
Good, because
Yeah.
these would make great toothpicks.
No, I'm sure there's nothing, there's no carcinogenic material in there whatsoever. But I think I have a special round file cabinet that I put those in.
Oh, you do.
Yeah,
I've got one here.
yeah.
Mine's rectangular, but it serves the same
It's
purpose.
sort of this bottomless pit. I don't find stuff I put in there. Like it somehow vanishes every week. But everything has its place. And so those go in the round file cabinet, the round filing bin. Okay, you still with me? Have I lost you entirely
I'm here. I'm here.
with
I'm
my
ready to go.
irreverence? What do you think we're going to
Shall we
do
do?
next, Steve?
Well, we have two options. We can either put in the RAM or we can mount the system board and put the RAM in later. My sense is I'd rather put the RAM in later and put the system board in now. This way, there's no danger of my hitting the RAM as I'm putting it into the system case.
I think you need to live a little more dangerously, Steve.
Do you want to do the RAM first?
Yes, I think it'd be a good idea for us to do the RAM. Well, we've got a nice
All
big
right.
open area instead of putting it into a restricted area where
Good
we got the
point.
case walls all around
Good.
us. It's probably really six of one, half dozen of the other, and I'm not suggesting your way or your suggestion is a
Actually,
bad one. It's a preference. It's nothing more than a
it's
preference.
six of one, half dozen of the other.
It's six
You've got the
dozen of one
expression.
and
Six of one, half dozen of the other. No, no, it's
wait,
all right.
six
Listen.
dozen is what, 72? No,
Yeah, good,
I don't
good.
think that's right.
Yeah, it's close.
No, I think it is 72, isn't it? 6 times 10 is 60, 6 times 2 is
Somebody
12,
on
12 is
somebody on
67.
chat has already figured it out for you.
So it's RAM. Let's put the RAM in. Let me show you how easy this is. You're going to notice on the motherboard. Oh, my cameraman is on it today. We have sockets that are black and sockets that are gray. This is something Gigabyte does, and it differentiates the channels of the memory. Because we have the motherboards and the CPU supports something called dual channel memory.
Mm-hmm.
And that means it can, think of it like stereo, right? You can listen to music on one speaker and it's okay, or you can listen to music separated with left and right, and it gives the music more of a dynamic sound, right? Well, this has nothing to do with that. However, the dual channel allows the whole system to operate a little more efficiently than a single channel. And you'll see these little plastic tabs. I'm going to open all of them up, even though I'm only going to use the gray ones. I just want them all open right now. And we'll take the RAM and we'll remove that from its package right here. Let me go.
So you prefer gray over black?
Well, the motherboard manual recommends that we use DIMM sockets 1 and 2 first. I'd like you to look at something here, Steve, before you get too into that. Written very finely on the motherboard, if I hold it in just the right place, you should see it says DDR4, and then there's a -1, -3, -2, and -4.
Right.
Can you see that right there underneath
Yep.
my finger?
Sure can.
And what that's
Sure,
telling
I've
you
got
is that this is DDR socket 1, this one is socket 3, this one is socket 2, and this one is socket 4.
Mm-hmm.
So 1 and 2 are these two gray ones, and 3 and 4 are the two black ones, just as it describes in order above them. And because we only have two memory modules, we will use 1 and 2 first.
Good.
You with me?
Yep.
Okay, now to install the RAM, it's pretty easy. What we're going to do first is we'll open up the package of the RAM here. Sometimes, like I said, getting the parts out of the packaging can be more difficult than installing the parts themselves. And what you're going to find, the way that they package RAM, oh, this is taped closed. No, okay, it's just,
Staples.
this is more likely to cut you than anything else. I'll tell you what I see a lot of people do and I cringe when I see it. I see people try and bend the RAM out of the package. Instead, bend the package away from the RAM. See what I did there?
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to just lift one of these modules out. And as much as possible, do try to hold it by the edges. Try to keep your fingers away from the what they call the gold fingers.
Yeah.
Okay?
Don't want those connectors to have my detritus.
I don't,
Detritus. Yes.
the detritus on your epidermis is, yeah. All right. Now, at the top of the circuit board, you'll see there's really nothing up here. So I can, on both sides, there's really, if the camera will focus, I guess I'm just too zoomed in here. You'll see there's really nothing at the top of this RAM on either side. So if I'm real careful, I can kind of hold it like this. And you'll see there's a little cutout in the RAM. That cutout is not in the middle. It's off to one side. And that's how it prevents us from installing the RAM in the wrong direction. But what we're going to do is we're going to go to the socket that's closest to the CPU, which is the gray socket closest to the CPU. The reason I want to do that first is if I put this one in first, then it's going to be harder to put the other one in between, right? So we'll work on the inside. It looks like it's going to go with the chips all facing the CPU so that that notch in the RAM aligns with the notch in the socket. Now watch how I do this. I'm going to get you a real nice close-up. I'm going to make sure it goes into the track on both sides. And it should gently go in seat. Once I verified it's in the track, seated, and the notch is lined up correctly, I'm going to use my thumbs and I'm going to press down one corner. This is hard to do so you can see it. I kind of have to do both at the same time. One corner, you should hear it. There's one corner, and then the other corner. Did you hear it?
Yeah, I did hear it.
Now I'm going to back the camera off a little bit because I think it was a little too close. And I'm going to do the same thing with the remaining module. I'm going to bend the plastic away from the RAM. I'm going to try and hold the RAM as much as possible away from the bottom edge and away from the chips. The chips face, on this RAM, face towards the CPU. Place it into the socket. Make sure that it's aligned properly and gently, right? Looks good. And then one thumb, other thumb. Now that does require some force. The motherboard may bend a little bit on the box. That's perfectly okay. It's your turn. Oh, did you put one in already?
I started to, but I didn't push it down. I was waiting for you.
It does require a bit of force. And as you push down one corner, the other corner may try to come up. So you kind of have to push down or secure it from coming up on one corner.
Good.
All right. Niles Vandison says that's really cheap looking RAM. This is the cheapest RAM you can buy.
It is cheap looking RAM. I gotta
Well,
say.
look, we're at the basics.
It doesn't have
here.
those metal shields on them. They don't.
If you do good on this one, maybe we'll do an overclocked custom liquid cooling build with delidding and RGB lighting.
I am ready.
Yeah. Bring them up.
Except for the lighting.
I'm not hearing yours click, but you'll have to just kind of look at those
retention. Here, let's take a look.
That's a good looking flashlight. Where'd you get that?
Very funny. All right.
I just can't believe you flashed us. Yeah, so, and then you can go ahead and lift up the remaining retention levers. These retention levers here that I opened, we can just close those to get them out of the way. And that's all there is to prepping the motherboard. That is ready now to be installed in the case. And you'll see the way I'm handling the board. I don't have to worry about an anti-static strap. I don't have to worry about electrostatic discharge because I'm just holding the thing by the heatsink. I'm not touching the board in any way, shape, or form. And that'll be the proper way. That'll be, in my opinion, in my experience, the best way to handle any motherboard is by the heatsink. Hey, my arms are looking good today. Look at that.
Look at that, yeah. Veins are just popping
I
out.
know, I must be dehydrated. All right, we can prep the
All
case.
right.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the camera back a little bit here. Oh, that's as far back as it'll go. I guess that'll have to work. How you doing over there? You need a break? You need to take a smoke?
Now, how about you? You need a break?
No, I'm raring to go. I'm fired
Oh, me
up.
too. Let's go.
How we doing on time? We've been live now for, let me see. I can't see. 1 hour and 10 minutes. Oh, we're making good time here, Steve. And by the
Yeah,
way,
we are.
when you build your computer, folks, take your time, enjoy your build. It's not a contest. It's not a race. It's really about enjoying the process. Once you're done with it and everything works great, you're probably going to want to build another one again soon. And it gets to be a very expensive addiction. So try to chew your food, savor it. That's all I'm saying.
Kind of like you did with the sourdough, right?
Yeah, because
Gobbled it right up.
where am I going to get another one? When's the next time I'll get another one? So I'm going to chew that. But at the same time, you don't want to let it sit and just go bad and throw it away. I have no idea where that metaphor applies here. But, don't go buying parts and say, I'll do it tomorrow and never get around to it. Hey, Steve, check out what my sister had made. Tell me what
Let's
you think
see.
of this. This is a mouse pad
Very nice.
and
Is that the power is in your hand?
hands.
Hands, of course.
And this material, this is microfiber cloth, so you can use this mouse pad to clean your monitor
Or your eyeglasses.
or your eyeglasses. And
You
my
know,
sister, here's the thing, I didn't really want to sell any merch. It's not my deal. But people are like, can we buy some stuff? And so I said
Yeah,
to my
yeah.
sister, I said, would you come up with some stuff? It's got to be stuff I would actually use myself. And she
Yeah.
thought she'd give these mouse pads a try, and I think she got like 50 of them. And I think I just made an announcement that I had them, and like 40 of them are gone. So I told her to order some more, but in the meantime, I think we've got about 10 left. If anybody wants to buy them, you can go to shopcareyholzman.com or careyholzmanshop.com or careyholzman.com. Any of that should take you to the little shop, and you can buy these. Again, I don't want to sit here and hawk merchandise. I really don't, but I did.
So you did.
So I
And
did anyway.
did somebody spell check everything before it went to production?
My sister is in the family, so that OCD, it's strong in our family. Grammar and
Yeah.
spelling and that sort of thing.
Dead
Apples and trees don't fall. They say apples
Very far
don't
from the
fall
tree,
far from
yeah.
the tree, but I also say, don't nuts grow on trees too?
Many of them. Yep. 6 of one, half dozen of the other.
72
6
of
of one.
one or
Yeah,
six
there we
dozen of
go.
the other.
Uh-huh. All right.
I
So
could do this all day. Showing off my math skills. Or as they say in England, my maths skills. We're going to prep the case, Steve. Now, you already have
That
your
sounds-
side panels off, right?
yeah.
All right, so I'd like you, I do this, I'm going to go full screen. I'll have you move your case down and have it laying flat on your table. And for everybody else, you can watch me on the right side of your screen. I'm going to take these items that I had set aside. Once again, I need to move them out of my way again. And I'm going to take off the glass panel, which is just this one screw right here.
Oh, I want to watch you do the glass pipe. Go ahead.
There's just this
the-
there's one screw right up here in the corner, and it's a captured
Right.
screw. The screw does not come out, so you don't have to worry about losing it. It stays locked in with the panel, and you'll see that there's like a little metal tab. And so when we take the screw and we completely disconnect it from the case,
Yeah, yeah.
hold on. I haven't worked with this case before. I think that's just the one screw that we have to remove, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep. Just one screw. Now,
Okay.
do you have latches on the glass?
Latches.
No, it's like on your kitchen cabinets. There are no latches.
Correct. But there's
Right.
sort of a pull tab here. And I don't know
Yeah.
what's holding it. It should just come right out, I thought.
I'm not going to be laughing at you. I'm enjoying your experience.
You know, look, I'm sure there's an instruction manual that explains this, but I don't want to
No,
cheat.
it was not.
The instruction manual is probably inside. This should just pop straight out.
Yeah, but it doesn't.
Wait a minute. Do you know something I don't know? Are you holding out on
No,
me?
I want you to struggle like I struggled
Oh,
for.
okay. So the glass has these two little knobby things. You see there's one there and there's one there. And they lock into the top of the case almost like a cabinet, except they're not
Hmm.
kind of push in, push out. They push in and they lock in. And so you do have to exert a little bit of pressure to disengage the metal little knob
What?
here from the catch
Right.
that's
What?
in.
Right. What is that case panel made of?
This is tempered glass, just like what's in your
Yes.
refrigerator.
Yes.
This is very difficult to break, this glass. Not that I'm challenging you. It can be broken, but it's tempered, much like my attitude.
Much like. All
All
right.
right, so that's one panel off. I'm going to remove the opposite panel. Again, not rocket science here. Two screws on this one, one here, one here. Again, the screws are what we call captured, meaning they don't fully come out. They stay with the panel. You see the panel kind of swings like a door a little bit, and it just comes right off. We want to set this aside where we're not going to kick it or step on it or trip on it or scratch it or dent it. So put it away somewhere temporarily where you won't accidentally interfere with it or have it interfere with you. Oh, a nice contribution from John Wilson, $20. He says, hey, all, here's a little something to keep the channel going. Well, thank you again, John. As I mentioned earlier today, John made a very generous contribution earlier today, and a huge shout of thanks to John for that. Down here at the bottom of the case, there's a box. That box contains all of the screws for mounting all of the components inside of the computer. For whatever we're putting in there, there's place for two solid-state 2.5-inch drives back here. We've got these cable management tracks that we can remove if we don't want them, which is a nice touch from NZXT. You'll see those tracks go all the way around. It makes cable management super easy for people, you know, like Steve, that don't have any experience with cable management. You don't have to guess. It just kind of guides you regardless of which hardware you choose. And this side of it, of course, is blocked. So we're going to have to put our power supply in. Power supply's got to go in from this side. But before I do that, I just want to take this box of parts out. And the box sits in the 3.5-inch hard drive tray. So this case will hold two 3.5-inch hard drives and two 2.5-inch solid state drives, although I suppose they could be 2.5-inch hard drives. And you could probably put an adapter in here to put solid state drives in there too. So a total of 4 drives.
I could. And what's also cool is there's plenty of room for stash. And in the old days when we had to hide our marijuana, you know, this would be perfect. Now
Yeah,
you
but
don't
it's all
have to,
legal in California. You just go to the store and buy it.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
which
And we
is.
were pioneers, you know. But that's
Are you
another story,
promoting?
isn't it?
Is somebody paying you to sponsor them, or do you get any free samples? You
No,
doing a review?
no.
That's good
Uh-uh.
stuff.
Uh-uh.
Here's my review. It's good stuff. All right, all of this stuff is modular, meaning if you don't want these and you're never going to use them, you can simply remove them. There's one screw right here, and then a pull down on this tab, and this whole plastic piece comes off. As does this cage, I believe. Just a couple screws, I think, on the bottom, and this cage will come out. That lightens your case up. It gives you more room to work in there if you're never going to use it. Me, if I take those off, I will lose them. So even though I'm not using them, who knows what tomorrow holds? So I'm going to leave them there. They're not hurting anything, and they're not
Leave them
getting
right there.
in the way. This is the box, as I mentioned, that came inside of the case. All new cases, all computer cases, come with their own screws because they all do things differently. You often cannot use the screws from one case manufacturer on another case. Sometimes, but I wouldn't count on it. So anything you're not using during your build, hold on one second, anything you're not using, be sure to put away because you might need it in the future. And as I mentioned, they were typically proprietary to the case. Yes, Steve.
Hand, it's the user manual.
Yes,
Handle the glass with great care.
I did.
Attaboy.
I like to think of myself as a great Carey.
Ah, ha, ha. I heard that one. I'm going to choose to ignore it. All
As
right.
did everybody
We've
else.
got
That's
ties.
well
Do you
deserved.
have
In the
do
plastic
you have
bag, there are
ties?
some cable ties. The cheap cases don't come with cable ties. So if your case came with cable ties, you probably bought a decent case. That's how you can tell. You'll also see all of the edges are rounded on these cases. The cheaper cases, and by cheaper I mean both financially cheaper and construction cheaper, will have sharp edges that can cut you and will cut you. What they do on the nicer cases, like NZXT, Fantex, Be Quiet, Corsair, NZXT, they roll the edge over. So you can run your hand along it, it doesn't slice your fingers off. And I'm kind of a fan of my fingers. Inside, we'll just empty that out. And we've got, ooh, they gave us a lot of cable ties, more than Corsair.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3,
Nice
4,
ones.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 cable ties. Now for some,
What?
I got,
10? You
I
got
got 10.
10? Huh.
For some reason, they've included this.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I got 12.
What? I'm sending this back.
Ha! Ha!
For some reason, they've included this splitter, this audio splitter. I don't know why.
Well, in case you want to split your
Oh,
audio.
thanks. That never occurred to me. They've also included, and I have to say, I'm a big fan of this. This right here. I have never seen this before, and I like it. What this enables us to do, and we can do this right now if you want to, Steve. This enables us to hook up our hard drive LED, power LED, and power switch. There's no reset switch on this case. Right up to the motherboard on those little pins, and then it just leaves you
Right,
one
right.
connector. So all you have to do is plug the case header on one connector.
Got it. Got it. Yeah, that makes so much sense.
That's so much easier.
And listen,
Yeah.
show a close up. They're actually marked, so you don't have to worry about figuring out which one is the plus P or the minus P.
Well, they're all marked on all cases. That's not unique.
Well, for me it is.
Well, you're new
Besides,
here.
I got 12 ties. You only got 10.
Yeah, but I think I only need 10, and I think you need about 14. So I think we're okay.
All right.
Don't take it personally. Now, I'm going to hook this up with the motherboards out of the case so I can give you a real nice close-up of where these go. I think this is a brilliant idea, and I've never seen this with a case before. I like it. But just to go back to what remains in the box that came with the case, we've got a bag of screws that are for fans. We're not adding any fans. You'll see the case comes with a fan back here in the back, and it comes with a fan. No, it just comes with the one fan. That's all we get, which is fine.
Oh.
But if you wanted to add, you see there's a space up here for 2 more fans, and you can even put fans, I think. Oh, there's a fan
You
up
only
here.
got one
No, there's a.
I got two.
Yeah.
I got 2 fans.
I didn't see it. There's a fan up at the top. Yeah.
I thought I was ahead of you.
You typically are, but in this case, I'm just a little slow. If you wanted to put fans on the front of this case, I just want to show you, Steve, that there's thumb
Yep.
screws. There's one thumb screw here, one up here, and the frame comes out, and you can attach your fans to the frame and then put the frame back in, which I think is a lot easier than trying to pull the front of this off, which doesn't come off. And of course, there's no filter, so you're just bringing a bunch of detritus in your case.
Detritus, more detritus. There's so much detritus in Arizona.
I was
Listen
born in
to
detritus.
this. All right, move
Now,
on.
the
All right, so which of the
this
wait a minute. Show me the screws that you're getting rid of for the fans.
oh,
Was that the little one in the crinkly?
the little one in the crinkly. These screws are kind of very coarse threaded, very unique. They have a flat top, and it says 5 by 10 screw on the bag. We're not going to use these. There are 8 of them
Huh.
because each fan takes 4, and as I showed you, there's a place on the case for 2 fans. Hence, you would need 8
Got it.
screws.
5 by 10.
Yeah, so we're not using those.
Would you save these?
Yes, all the extra screws will always be saved because they are, although those are just standard fan screws, just it's a good habit to always keep all the extra screws. You might decide you need to put a fan in at some point, and you'll say, what did I do with the screws?
Okay.
Going back to what else was in that bag, we have an extra standoff for the motherboard and an extra thumb screw here. And I don't think we're going to use these, but I'm not sure just yet. It says standoff right on the bag. And I'm going to put that with the fan screws. I'm not worried about that right now. This bag,
We might use the standoff, but go
I don't
ahead.
think we will, but I could be wrong. This bag here says M3 by 5 flat. And this may be used for mounting the motherboard. I'm not sure. I'm not sure which one it is yet. So I'm going to hold that aside. And then these screws say 6 by 32 flat. Those might be used for mounting the motherboard. Again, I'm not sure. They're very close. And then finally, we've got this last bag, and it says 6 by 32 screw hexagon. Now, these are what I would call your traditional, everyday, ordinary computer case screw that's been around as long as computers have been around. They really haven't changed up except in color. And I'm not sure where these are used. Quite honestly, these might be used to mount the motherboard. I don't know. We're going to find that out. So one of these 3 bags will be used to mount the motherboard. And one way we can tell right now, you'll see that there are already standoffs pre-installed from the case manufacturer on the back of the motherboard tray here. And that the middle standoff is like a little post. You don't put any screws in this. This is going to hold the motherboard in position when we put the motherboard in so we can secure it with the screws around the other holes. But that hole right there, that one is just a post. And what we can do is we can take a look at, it's really dark in here, so it's going to be hard for me to give you a close-up, but let me
Do you
just,
need a flashlight?
yeah, would you hold that for me? What I'm going to do is I'm going to count how many holes I've got on this motherboard, how many mounting holes. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
2,
7. I've got
2,
7.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wait a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you've got 6 mounting screws, but 1 up by the ports, by the audio ports. You've got 1 that's marked 110. Okay, take a look where the mounting, where the audio
So
ports
the
are.
one that's marked 110, what Steve is referring to, these M.2 drives come in varying lengths. This is called a 2280 M.2 drive because it's 22 millimeters wide and 80 millimeters long. And they make them going out to 110 millimeters, where we would move the little standoff under here and put it into this very small hole, which is not a mounting hole. And that would be 110 millimeters in length. I've never seen a solid state drive that matched that form factor, but apparently it is an industry accepted standard if a manufacturer were to offer them, and that is to provide for that. These M.2 drives were originally designed for things like tablets and really ultra portable machines where you wanted to keep it thin, and of course they've now expanded into desktops, and so that's typically where you see the smaller, like 2240 or 2260 shorter. Those also are slower drives, by the way. The 2280 is the one you're going to find most common. It looks like it's the shape and the size of a stick of gum. And so that is not a mounting hole. The mounting holes actually have little soldering points that reinforce the hole. And you'll see we've got 1 and 2. See those 2?
Yep.
And then if we go over to the board towards the middle, just below the RAM, there's another one. And right below that, there's one. And then just off to the right, there's one right there. And then if I move my hand out of the way up at the top, there's one right here, and one again over the top of the RAM.
Yep.
That's a total of 7. And I can tell you from looking at it, we're going to have to move or add a standoff here, because we need to put a standoff. There's
Did I say we were gonna? I said we were gonna need a standoff, pal. All
you
right.
are paying attention.
All right. Are we gonna put that cable on the system
And
board before we?
Yes, but stay with me, if you will.
Am I getting ahead of you?
You are. Try and stay with the class.
Carry on.
I will me on. Now, there is a standoff. We can really use any standoff we want. This one over here, all the way to the far right, this is a 5mm socket, and I did not prep you for this. You can grab a pair of pliers or something that kind of scratches it up, but we want to take this standoff out, and we want to move it to the next hole to the left. Again,
all right, hang on. Let me go get my standoff remover.
If everybody can see, that standoff was placed there, and I'm moving it to here. Now, if we were installing a regular ATX motherboard, the standoff was in the right place, but this is a micro ATX board. This is a 5mm ratcheting driver. And don't over tighten these, because you can strip them out and then you're in a world of hurt. But don't make them too loose, or when you take the screws out, you back the standoff off with it, which is
okay. So you're removing the.
I just took the standoff that was here and I moved it to there.
The one that's marked AU.
And I moved it to this position. Let's check in with Steve and see how he's doing over there. Oh, that's a pretty nice standoff remover tool you got there. Do you pull teeth with it too?
I have a whole set. I have a whole set in the garage of these wonderful, but I don't have one that fits, so I've got to use that tacky. Let's see what I got here. Hold on. Aha!
Look at you. How much was that? Did you get it in quartzite?
No. Where are you? I got it at Tiger Direct's race thing.
That was a long time ago. You are organized.
Yeah.
Was that 1902?
Man, you have no idea. You think you're 1903. You think you're OCD.
Well, I'm CDO. I like to alphabetize my OCD.
Ha ha ha. You see this?
You call it OCD. I call it putting stuff where it belongs.
I want you to just, can you see that? Look at that.
It's as though I don't know. It's hard to believe this is live and unscripted, that you just happen to have that tool, because I did not prepare you for this whatsoever.
Oh, listen, man. I practice having all the tools. There we go. Okay, so we've moved the standoff.
That's all. Look at him go, ladies and gentlemen. That is
the
hardest. Make sure you tighten that real good. I don't want that coming out when you have to take the board out. So, don't over tighten it. You don't want to strip it, but make sure it's as the Germans would say, good and tight.
Good and tight.
Yeah, thank you. That's excellent. Now, we can move another standoff if we want to, or we can leave those other standoffs because they're so easily lost. We can take one of the standoffs that came, what I do with the bag.
Well,
here's
before I put the tool away.
We're going to put one more in.
Do you want to move it?
Well, you either need to move one or install one, and because they're so easily lost, I'd rather install one so I have extras in the case, because I'll always know where the case is. So I'm going to use the standoff that comes in the bag. Just the standoff, just this part, not the thumb screw, just the standoff. So let me.
All right. Do you save these? Do you save the plastic bags?
Well, I still have the thumb screw in there, but if the bag was empty, I wouldn't save it.
All right.
My bad. Steve, in the bag, I feel like an idiot. This is how thorough the folks at NZXT are. In the bag, this is not a thumb screw. This is a socket. And on one end, you can put a Phillips screwdriver, right? That's a Phillips screwdriver. And the other end is a socket so that you can
Look
tighten and
at
remove
that.
it. And it came with the
Yeah,
case.
yeah, yeah. Ha!
It's a little socket.
Look at that. I'm going to save this socket and take out the Carey Holzman screwdriver.
What? You're going to save
Look at
something?
that.
You never do that. Now,
All right, where do you
inside
want
of the
this one?
case, going towards the edge, you'll see that we have a standoff already positioned underneath the fan, right under there. And there's a hole just below that. So I'm going to put this in the hole, the only hole there is, really.
Okay, so that's next to the slot. There's a little.
PCI Express slot, about the third one down.
No, but I'm talking about where it says. Okay, I got it. Same place. Where it's a letter U.
Yes. And then I'm going to, I still prefer my tool to that little socket. But hey, that socket is kind of cool. It's nice that they included that. I don't normally build with NZXT cases, so caught me a little by surprise. It's a nice touch, and once again, something you get with a reputable case manufacturer.
Very cool. All right, do you want to check my work?
Looks good, Steve. Looks good. Jean-Francois Pelgrims, I don't know how to say his name, has contributed €1. Thank you, Jean.
Okay, but let me get back to the chat room. How many of you people do geocaching?
How many of you people know
So
what
we'll wait for an
geocaching
answer.
is?
Oh, you'll be surprised. Now watch the
Geo
chat.
Johnson suggests you put that little socket inside the handle of the screwdriver. It's an interesting.
What a brilliant! If
And that
I would shake that man's hand if I could.
his name is Geo Johnson. You think Geo Johnson does geocaching? Gee, I wonder.
I would. I don't know. We'll find out.
All right.
I'm waiting. I'm waiting. I see. Okay. Thank you, Geo Johnson. You're right. I have. That's a wonderful idea. All right. So where are my geocaching friends?
You have to find them.
There it goes. Nick does geocaching. So Nick knows.
Nick
Nick
knows?
knows that we save every plastic bag, no matter what, because we use it for geocaching.
Okay. Did you hear
All
how I
right.
said you had to find them? It was pretty funny.
I was busy looking at chat.
You said, where are my
want to tell
geocachers
me?
at? And I said, you have to find them.
Ah, ha, ha.
See, that was gold.
Very
That's
good.
gold. That's comedic gold.
Gold.
You don't get that every day.
Comedic. Arizona comedic
Yeah,
gold.
all right, well, at least pewter.
All right, take another sip here.
I really like that I get to show you the cabling of the hard drive LED, and power switch while the motherboard is out of the case, because it's something very difficult to film. Once we're inside the case, it's dark in here, and we're working down at the bottom.
Yeah.
And without a cameraman to move around me, you're pretty much looking at my back the whole time. And as interesting as that may be, this is a unique opportunity for me to demonstrate close up exactly where these pins, where these wires go on these pins. Because the wiring seems to intimidate a lot of people, but it's extraordinarily simple. So let me just move the camera a little bit here, and we're going to go back to close-up of me and my motherboard. Zoom it in nice and tight to the bottom right corner of the board. All right, you see where I'm at, Steve?
I'm looking for USB 1, USB 2. Hold tight.
You'll see look for the
Hold
SATA
tight.
connectors,
Yeah, got
bottom
it.
right.
Yep, got it.
And this white connector right here, do you see written below it, etched in fine print on the board, on the circuit board? It tells you,
Yep.
if I can hold the board steady, it tells you where the wires go. For example, right down there it says HD plus on one side, minus on the other, and that's referring to the 2 pins on the bottom row. Then above that refers to the 2 pins on the top row. And it's all written out. Again, I have to figure out which way's left and right so I can.
So you're talking about the white pins right below the CMOS.
Yeah, it should pretty much be filling the frame of the camera right now. See on
Yeah,
the right it
sure.
says speak, and then
Yep.
below that it says power LED. So
Hmm.
that's saying a speaker would go on these 4 pins on the top row, and that the power LED could go on the 3 pins on the bottom row. So it's written in the order of the pins above. We're
Hmm.
not going to use anything on the right. We're only going to use these pins on the left because we have a power LED option here as well. So apart from the fact that I need a manicure, let's focus on the connector. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this unique connector that NZXT has included with our case. Let me back it off a little bit here. And you can see we have, the ends are very different on this connector once the camera focuses. This side of it is the side we're going to go onto the motherboard right here. And we're going to start with the hard drive LED. So if we look at the cable and look at the writing on it,
Oh, sure. It's all marked. Plus P LED, plus and
it's your
minus.
positive and negative. Now a switch doesn't have, even though it may say positive and negative, it doesn't matter. So don't worry about positive and negative on anything other than LED. Do you know what LED stands for?
Light emitting diode. Come on.
Diode. Do you know what
Who do you
a
think?
diode is?
Did I say
Yeah,
diode?
that's all
Okay.
right. What do you know
No,
what
I
it
don't know what
does?
it lights something up.
Well, no, a diode existed before it emitted light. It only allows power to flow in one direction.
Okay.
And if you put the light on backwards, if you put positive where negative is supposed to be, it doesn't hurt anything, but the
Hmm.
light won't light up because it won't allow power to flow the other way. It just prevents it from damaging anything. So a diode only allows power to flow one way. That's all
Hmm.
it does. Now, these are light emitting diodes, which means it's important to get the positive and negative right if you want the light to light up. All right. So we're going to start with the hard drive LED. Now you'll see the hard drive LED doesn't say positive or negative on it, does it?
No, it doesn't.
So how do we know?
Well, we don't because it doesn't
No, it
matter.
does matter. It's a diode, and it can only go on one way if we want it to light up.
Huh.
Like I said, you won't hurt anything if you plug it in backwards on the right connector, just backwards. But if you look on the other side of this connector, and you got to look real close, Steve. Let's see if I get
Oh,
just.
I see the
Do you
arrow.
see the
Sure.
arrow?
Yep. Yep.
What do you think that
Yep.
arrow indicates?
Well, it's going to be either positive or negative.
We never indicate negative.
Oh, is that
Yeah, we
right?
only indicate
Huh.
positive, and negative is assumed to be the other one. So if you look real
Okay.
closely at the top of the connector, right where it's hitting my palm, you'll see a little triangle.
Sure.
That's the positive side. If we look closely at the motherboard connector, and again, this is extraordinarily simple. On
And
this,
extraordinarily small.
yes, it is small, and you may require, some reading glasses. And this is why I wanted to do it outside of the case where we have light.
Yeah,
The hard
sure.
drive LED is going to go on the first 2 pins from the left on the bottom. First 2. When I say the first 2, I mean the first 2 horizontally, not vertically. You don't put any of these on vertically.
Correct.
Only
Correct.
we have 2
Right.
rows, a bottom row and a top row. We never connect the top row to the bottom row. Never. Okay? So the reason I want to start here is if I start on the pins above it, like if I were to put the power LED on first, look how it obstructs my ability to now try and put anything underneath of it. Right?
Sure.
So we want to work in an order that is optimal, that is the most painless way. So what I want to do is I want to line up this arrow. Again, this little arrow on the connector here, if I can find my camera. Bear with me for just a second, because now I've confused my camera. Hey, back it off. I'm a little too zoomed in. So where's that arrow? That arrow.
It's on your closest to your wrist.
So what I want to do is make sure that that little arrow is facing the edge of those pins, which means that with this motherboard, with this case connector, the words HDD LED are going to face up so we can see them. That puts that little triangle to the left, right?
Right. Correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
I don't want to say right.
Yeah, I
Let me
know.
zoom in. Yeah, no?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Language.
Oh, that's
And
perfect.
then
It's a good
these two
fit.
pins right here, that's where the hard drive LED goes. The first two pins, bottom row, on the left. And it's really difficult for me to see this, so bear with me for just 1 second as I... No, I take it back, I'm wrong. Okay, with that little arrow, if you put this in... No, I'm right.
No, you're right. So I can read the lettering for the HD from the edge of the board.
It's going to go on those first two pins on the bottom row, just like that.
No, you got it. You sure? That looks
Hold on, let
backwards.
me grab my glasses because now I
Yeah.
can't see. The arrow is very, very tiny. Now, some case manufacturers make this more clear. It won't hurt anything, okay? If we put this on backwards, it simply won't light up. So it's not the worst thing in the world to turn it around. Let me just take a quick look. You're right, this is not correct. This has to go the other way. So the words HDD LED will face...
Can be seen from the edge.
Yeah,
Right,
except when the
right.
motherboard's mounted in the case, you won't see it at all.
Oh, I'm going to look
But you can
anyway.
see it right there. Now, normally I would say this is easier to start at the bottom, but I'm realizing for the sake of filming, you can't see me put anything behind it. So I guess I'm going to change this up a little bit. We're going to do the power LED. The power LED, you'll see it's separated out into a positive and negative cable. If the camera will focus here in just a moment, we'll see that. So ignore those two cables. You see it says power LED positive and power LED negative. And those are separated out because on some motherboards, the pins are side by side, and on other motherboards, the pins are separated by a pin. That's why this motherboard has two power LED lights. It's got one on the right and it's got one on the left. The one on the left is 2 pins wide, the one on the right is 3 pins wide, and by separating this cable, we can use, by separating the cable, come on, Carey, where's my... By separating this positive and negative, we can align it so it goes to either one. But I want to keep all our cabling together. So making sure that it says, I don't know why I'm having such a hard time finding my camera. Making sure that the power LED wires, this thing is not going to focus. There we go. Can you see that? Power LED plus and
Yep.
minus.
Yep.
Again, I want the plus on the edge of this connector, but on the top row. And it's going to go precisely over where I had placed the hard drive LED. So basically, positive goes over positive and negative goes over negative. Now I'll put the hard drive LED on so you can see it's going to go in the same 2 pins that are just below the power LED. And both positive cables of those 2 connectors are on the edge, and the negative cable is the first pin in, or second pin in, right? And this is real easy. This is the power switch. It has no positive or negative. It's going to go on the next 2 pins on the top row, right beside the power LED. That's all there is to it. It's really, really simple. And pretty much every motherboard is the same. Now, if we had a reset switch, that would go right beside the hard drive LED on those next 2 pins, right below the power switch. Those are your 4 cables. That's all there is. And
Okay, now here's what I want you to do. Get your glasses and take a look at the marking on the system board right, let's see, right above where it has plus HD minus. You see the PLED?
yes.
And then you see next to it plus PW minus.
Yes.
Now, how can you differentiate which is the positive and which is the negative? Now, before you answer, I realize that the two wires go in they're set
You're
to go.
overthinking all of this.
Uh,
I'll tell you why.
Go ahead.
All a switch does is a switch breaks a circuit. So therefore, it has no negative or positive. Even though it may be labeled as such, it's irrelevant. There is,
Okay.
They may, because they're engineers and they're nerdy, there may be a technical positive and negative. However, it doesn't matter if I put this power switch on the other way around, if I flip it 180 degrees and turn it this way,
Yep.
it still breaks and closes. It opens and closes the circuit either way. Regardless, it opens and closes the circuit. There's no LED. It's not a light-emitting diode. It's breaking the circuit or it's closing the circuit, one or the other. So there's no positive or negative on a switch, period. All switches,
But
every switch ever made
Yep.
doesn't have a positive or negative. Well, at least as far as motherboards go. I don't want to get into electrical engineering, but basically a switch just opens and closes a circuit. It doesn't have a positive or negative.
But we do on the power LED.
Because it's a light emitting diode, and diodes will only
Right,
light up if the
right.
power flows. An LED is not a switch.
Good. So here's what I'm going to do to make sure we don't have to dismantle this when the lights don't work right. I'm going to review what my pins and which connectors are on which pins, and you can verify that they're right. So we've got in the bottom row, closest to the edge of the system board.
Can you show that a little better on the camera? Can you move to the...
Oh, sure.
All right, what do you got?
Okay, so let me get a pointer. We've got the first one. This one is easy. This is a hard drive, and it's the first two pins.
On the bottom row?
Then after that, on the bottom row, then we've got the next one is the power switch on the bottom row.
No.
Well, it says power.
What does it say below power?
RES.
So that means RES is the reset switch on the bottom row of pins.
So
power
okay,
is on
so we
the
need to
top
move
row of
that-
pins. You've got to watch where the words are.
Okay.
If the words are on the top, then that's referring to the top row of pins.
Okay, so I'm going to move that up. Now, let's review. So we've got the power switch in the right spot. It's on the second row towards the back, towards the Gigabyte logo. Then we've got the two LEDs. The one closest to the USB connectors is the positive one.
Yes.
So we're good.
So the hard drive LED is on the bottom row of pins. Yes.
Correct?
Power LED
Right.
is directly above the hard drive LED with its positive
The
wire
power
also
LEDs,
at
right.
the edge.
The positive one is closest to the USB connector.
Okay. And then next to the power LED is your power switch. Yes.
Yes. Good.
That's it. You've done it. That's the worst part of the cabling. All the other cables.
PITA.
Nah. It is
Yeah.
not a pain in the apples. I don't even know where that expression came from. Now,
It came from putting these little ditzels on these little pins.
ditzels. This is family friendly,
This
Steve.
is yeah, ditzel is fine. It's a California word. These reminds me of the jumpers that we had
Back
to
in the
do
day.
on all of
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
Seagate. Oh,
Do you know what I'm just realizing in the background? My sister made me a birthday cake, and she made a sugar version of me. And I can't eat it.
oh, it looks just like
He's got a flip phone and a can of soda, can of Coke.
Mm-hmm.
And he's wearing the same shirt that I always like to wear. He's not aging well. He looks like he's got a skin condition.
No.
My sister made one, and it fell over and like a leg broke off. And she said, I'll just use some water and Excuse me. She said use some water, dampen it, and leave it on the counter and it'll dry. When I left it on the counter, the dogs ate it.
What time do you feed them?
5 o'clock. Oh,
It's getting
it's getting
close.
close. They usually let me
Yeah,
know. They're usually like,
put that sourdough out of sight.
oh, now look what you've done, Steve. Did somebody say dinner? Haven't you eaten any bad guys today? You're a good boy. Yes, you're a good boy. Okay. Oh, and the dog is good too. Yeah. So, Steve, there's just a little bit more prep we've got to do to the case. Let's put the I/O shield in. The I/O shield is this piece that came with the motherboard.
Sure. Let me get this motherboard out of the way. All right. I'm going to lift mine upright. I don't know about you.
Yes, that's a good idea. Oh, actually, it doesn't matter. Whatever's most comfortable for you. And get some scissors and cut that plastic open so we can get the I/O shield out of its plastic bag. So I'm going to grab some scissors over here. And I've got to walk by sourdough bread. It's just cruel.
All right. You know that last whistle?
Yeah? Was that a cat call? You doing okay over
Can
there?
we see? Or is he
You
here?
need a cigarette?
Yeah. Our dog, well, as soon as he heard the chain your dog shook, he was up out of his pad and he said, what the, who's in my office?
Introduce him or her.
This is Pogo, the pugnacious pup.
Pogo.
Yeah, let's get his Pogo.
You need to move him
P-O-G-O.
up closer to the edge of the table. Does he have a positive and a negative?
He does, and right now it's negative because he thinks he's at the vet. Whenever you put him up on a table, he's either going to get a bath or he's going to have his anal glands scrosed.
Either way, it's not a good
Look
time.
Look up. There you go. Look at the camera.
I'm not interested. His
Okay,
tags are
Gooch.
darn near as big as he is.
Yeah, we started with our first dog was small, and then we got married. And we got a big dog. We got a German, a black lab.
Oh yeah.
And as we get older, we get smaller
dogs
and
get
smaller
smaller.
dogs. Yeah. 12
Boy, he's a
pounds,
cutie.
he
How old
doesn't
is he?
grow. He's 6 years
So he's
old.
only 6.
You can look this up. We didn't know. We got us an adoption. All dogs are adoptions nowadays. We got to a dog park about 6 months after we had him, and a woman came up to us, and she did this. Let's see if I can't get it. She whipped off her glasses and said, I haven't seen a Portuguese Pedango in years. Turns out she's an AKC judge, right? So she knows her dogs. She picked him out as a Portuguese Pedango, and he's about 90% Portuguese Pedango. Goes out in the yard. If we had rabbits, they're bred for chasing rabbits, catching rabbits. But instead he does rats. He doesn't care. It's small, it runs, it squeaks.
Reminds me of high
Out
school.
there, where you were chasing rats?
I was the rat being chased. Small and squeaked
Well,
till
it
they chased me. No, look, the dog people are good people. That much I know.
Oh, of course. Better than cat
And if
people.
your dog doesn't trust somebody, you shouldn't trust them either.
That's exactly the case. Yep. So we won't get into politics, but whenever
You don't have to go any further. I see where you're going. I got where you're going with that. All right. On the back of the case, you'll see there's a cutout.
Right.
And it just so happens to be the exact shape and size of the I/O shield. The I/O shield,
Look at that. What a coincidence.
right? Isn't that weird? And it can go in either this way or this way, but only one way is going to work. So these 3 small holes, those are your speakers for your audio.
Yep.
That's going to go towards the bottom. That's one way to tell. Now, there's no tools required. There's no screws. This is just a friction fit. And you're going to reach in, from one side or the other. Again, this can be a very difficult thing for me to film. Let me see if I can find a position that might be optimal here. I'm going to reach my hand in here, and I'm going to try and just align one corner and then the other corner on the bottom. Again, 3 small holes are on the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Some of you may be using motherboards that have 6 small holes. Either way, they're going to go towards the bottom. And I'm pushing the I/O shield in. Well, I'm pushing it out at the same time to try and get the other corner in on the bottom. And you often will hear it kind of snap. Now, this can be a little tricky for first timers. You're going to want to then push in the top corners, but sometimes when you do that, the bottom corners will come back out. And when people haven't built, if you're building for the first time, this may be the most difficult part of the whole thing, is just getting the thing to align, getting the I/O shield to align with this hole and snapping it in without...
Here, I've got...
Just, you don't... Sometimes when you push in one corner, an opposite corner pops out. And when you're done, you should be able to look at the ridge. If I can zoom in on that, maybe you can show you what I'm talking about. You should see this ridge evenly extending through, flush top to bottom. And that means you've installed it correctly.
Now, you see, back in the chat, Anthony agreed with me about those pins and the hard drive and the switch was the most difficult. This is just as much of a pita. So I've got a solution.
There's a lot of
Carey.
Euros in your world. Yes.
This is what we use.
No.
To hold the...
No, absolutely not. Unacceptable. What are you, MacGyver?
If it works. All right, hang on.
I have to say, we stopped in a gas station when I was in California. And I want to say it was Newport Beach. I think we were right off the
Could have
PCH.
been, sure.
And there was one of those ducks. What are they called? Mallards.
Geese.
So
Mallards,
the mallard is the colorful male duck, right? And
right.
He was in the gas station standing where you pull up your car to go to the gas pump.
Yep.
And I thought, when I get close to him, he'll move. He didn't move. He was just like he owns that place. He's like, go around me. I was probably a foot away rolling past him to go to the gas pump. And that little guy was very confident I wasn't going to squish him like a bug. The 4,000 pounds of steel rolling a foot away from him, he did not move.
Smart ducks.
And they had a sign on the gas station pump that said, please don't feed the ducks. And I thought, he just thinks he owns the place here. But I just thought, that's either a really brave or a stupid duck. But on the other hand, he looked well fed. So apparently what he's doing is working for him.
Well, if I manufactured cases, I would make this part a lot easier to deal with.
Well, I'll tell you what, Steve, there are motherboards where the I/O shield is built into the board. So that when you install the board, the I/O shield just goes right along with it. And those are typically the more expensive motherboards. And on your first build, because this is your first build, Steve, and this is the excuse I'm going to give, I didn't want to spend a lot of money. And I thought, let's start with something simple first. And then as we advance forward, we can get into some of the higher end equipment. And when you're into, like this is a $70, $75 motherboard. When you start hitting $160 and above, it's not unusual for the I/O shield to be a permanent part of the back I/O of the motherboard. And it reduces a step. And that would be great for that to be a new standard.
Yep, let's upgrade soon. Okay, that's it.
And since all of the front I/O panel headers, like power LED, hard drive LED, power switch and reset switch are always the same, it would be nice if case manufacturers and motherboard manufacturers agreed to a single connector that just went in one way and we were done with it.
Oh, that would be
terrific. But they're still trying to be backwards compatible with 1997, and I don't know why, which results in, having to put each pin on individually. And some manufacturers like Asus and Gigabyte with some motherboards have a little plastic connector. Asus calls it their G connector, Asus calls it their Q connect, and it allows you to plug the cables into this plastic holding unit. It kind of holds the cables in the right position.
Yeah.
And then you just plug that whole thing onto the motherboard. Again, to reduce, but you still have to put the wires in it. If the case manufacturer already did that for you, it would just be another plug like USB. We're just not there yet for some reason that I can't explain.
Yep, nor can I.
Okay.
Send a note when you send that tweet to the mayor. Include that.
I'm starting to run out of the character limit on Twitter. Okay, I/O shield's in.
I/O shield's in.
Great. Now let's put the power supply in.
All right.
You got your power supply ready?
You have yours out of the box?
No, not yet, but I'm going to do it right now. Power cable. Now the power supply comes with screws. We're going to use the screws that come with the power supply. Do you have those available?
Give me a minute. Give me a minute here. Got them somewhere. Case. Hold on. Putting down my headset.
This is the power cable. We don't need this. Like I said, when I build computers for customers, I use my own power cable in testing, so I don't have to unwrap this because it's all nice and pretty. This will go in the motherboard box along with all the other screws. So I'll just set it aside for now.
Show me the screws.
The screws are in a little tiny plastic bag.
Oh, that one. Sure, got it right here.
Great.
All right, let's flip this.
So if we go to the case, in this instance, you want the case to be upright. And you can only install the power supply from one side because we have this shroud that does not come off.
Oh, funny. Now you've got it that way. I've got it upside down because I think it's easier
Okay.
to slide it in.
Whatever you'd like to do there, my friend. I've never seen anybody do it like that.
Well, let me see how you do it.
Well, I don't know why you've got the case upside down, but what we want to do, on the bottom of the case, you'll see there's a little filter under here. Okay,
Right.
that is so the fan on the bottom of this power supply sucks air in, it draws air in, it doesn't blow air out. So we want this fan to face down. And what's going to happen is that fan's going to draw air in from the bottom and then blow it out the back. It doesn't actually go into the computer case at all. It's strictly an enclosed ecosystem. Air comes in from the bottom and out through the back. Right? You see that?
Good. And that's important. Do you know why?
So it can breathe.
Because you know where all of the dog hair in the entire house goes? Underneath the case.
Well, sure, but that's what the filter's for, so don't forget to. Now, as you can see, I have somebody interested in boxes.
Jog looks hungry.
Yeah, you think he's trying to tell me something?
Yeah.
Now, the shredding of the box by the canine is an optional step.
So I guess you
don't you take that outside.
It.
Well, as far as a warranty goes, the manufacturer doesn't require the original parts. But if you wanted to return it for your money back, then you'd have to return it the way they sent it to you. So I'm pretty confident we're not going to need to return this. These are all good parts. This is an EVGA power supply. Fan facing down and the power connector facing the back of the case. Can you see? I'm going to set this down. And I'm going to align it so that the holes for the power supply will align with the holes on the back of the case. You with me?
Yeah, I'm going to turn the case over. Hold tight.
Yeah, that's kind of hard to do it that way, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
And I thought I was the only one who did stuff the hard way. I've met my match.
All right. How's the camera? Because people can't see me. Here.
Don't worry about your camera, because I'll show the audience. I'm really trying to show you, and then the audience will get the idea of what you're doing. Because you can't show people what you're doing and be on the same side of the camera, the way you've got it set up.
Okay.
Now, you will notice, this is a little
it.
tricky, but you will notice here on the back of the power supply, let's see if I can read, let's lower my camera a little bit. you will notice that we've got a couple of places where screws can go. You pay attention?
Yeah.
See there's a little cutout right
Yep.
there? And in the opposite corner, about an
Uh-huh.
inch away from the corner. So we're going to put a screw in each corner, except one of the corners is offset by about an inch. And the reason it's a mirror image is so the power supply can be flipped the other way with the fan facing up if you really wanted to draw air from inside of your hot computer case. You can do that. The reason why it's a bad idea is if you're working inside of the case and you drop a screw and it falls down inside your power supply where there's 120 volts, that's usually not good for business. So it's always best to have the power supply facing down for a number of reasons. But you can, if you wanted to, flip the power supply over, and the case will accommodate that by offering different screw positions. You'll also see a cutout right here on the side if you look carefully. So what I have to do is I have to get my glasses to look at this so I can see where the mounting holes are. All right, so do I still have your attention?
Yep, I'm watching.
So we're going to use this hole right up here, this notch.
Right.
Then we're going to use,
Lower left.
we're going to go to the far, if I can align this. Then we're going to go to the hole here. And then we're going to go to the little cutout, not the hole, but the little cutout. And then we use the hole here. So we're going to use the two holes on the bottom, and on the top we use the notches instead of the holes with this orientation of this power supply in this case. So I'm going to do that with my electric driver.
Oh, you fancy guy, you.
Yeah, I'm special. Ooh, my case arrived a little damaged. I've got a little dent in it.
Yes.
Interesting. Did yours arrive dented too?
A couple of spots were impregnated with somebody's foot. But then again, it's a cheap case.
No, it isn't. It's a good case it's about $70. There are cases that sell for $30. If you want to see a cheap case and you have a lot of Band-Aids. There, sorry, I was kind of away from that. I just dropped a screw somewhere. Where did I put it? So you see I've got a screw here, 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 and then I've got one more. It's going to go right down there as soon as I locate where it went.
Those people, the studious people in the chat, will see that I'm done despite your power tool.
Sorry, I got to step in front of the camera for a minute. What did I do with that? Sorry, I just had. There it is, right over there. Kind of was getting away from me. It's going to go.
Take your time, Carey. Make this a fun experience.
The case is just a little bit tweaked, so I'm going to have to crank up my torque settings. There we go. Feel free to, when you tighten the screws on the power supply, go ahead and give them a little extra. And make sure that they're good and tight. That's what that's going to look like when it's all said and done. Screw about an inch away from the top corner. Screw just a little below the hole on the top other corner. And then the two holes on the bottom. That would be your proper location.
All right. My shield came out. Darn it.
Well, that's how you know you didn't have an in right.
Funny.
Well, funny but true. I think that's going to be the name of my life story.
Funny but true.
It'll be a 4-page book.
Or the one that you didn't get it in right.
If that would have happened, I wouldn't have been born.
All right.
Dun-dun-dun. All those other extra screws we've got, those can all be put away. We're done with the screw. No, I'm sorry. I haven't mounted the board yet.
Oh no,
Not
we're
yet.
gonna have to do the other ditzel.
Yeah, that's right. The ditzel.
Okay, the shield seems to be more intact now.
I hope it was always intact.
Yeah, I'm gonna use a flathead.
What'd you call me?
A flathead.
How dare you?
There we go.
All right, I'm being harassed by some dogs who apparently think that.
Need to eat.
So let me. And they want some camera time because you know they
Hams.
are hams. Let's see. All right. You boys hungry? Are you hungry? Is it time for your dinner? Is it dinner time? Are you hungry? Are you hungry? Yeah? Hungry for some dinner? Okay. What do you want today? You want some dog food or do you want dog food? The dog food
Kibble,
is fresh.
kibble, give me kibble.
Kibble? We don't have that kind of kibble money laying around. You're just getting the dog food today. There you go, mister. Sit. Good boy. Oops. No, he'll pick it up. How about you, Jimmy? There he is. Are you ready? Are you ready?
Ready.
Are you hungry?
Hungry.
Are you hungry?
Speak. Woof.
Good. There you go. Oh, I spilled it. Well, that gives him something to do. He'll think he's getting bonus food.
So we've got more people in the chat now than we had before. That's good.
I didn't scare him away yet.
When you get a chance, take that power screwdriver and post it on the YouTube.
It is on my YouTube. It's on my Amazon page.
Yeah, but then I've got to go to the Amazon page. Why don't you put it into this thing?
All right.
Because, hey, wait a minute. Who sent you that terrific email yesterday?
I don't care. But I do like the sourdough.
Yeah.
So you better work on that angle.
All right, what's next?
Well, I want to give a couple shouts out to folks in the chat room that have contributed, and I haven't noticed because I've been distracted working.
Busy.
So let's see. I think I said a few of these before, but
It's worth saying again.
let's see. There was Jean-Francois Pelgrims, €1. Gamma Goblin Miller at $5 says, love your vids, Carey. Bill Ottinger's contributed $5, says, great double build video. Joseph Hawkins contributes $5 New Zealand dollars and says he's enjoying the video. David R. Officer with $5 Canadian dollars says, feed your dogs, Carey. Here's for some doggy snacks. Hugh Wong has contributed $2. Again, he says this is towards new socks for Steve Bass.
Oh, very funny.
I do say, Steve,
Sure.
you know, I have somebody from Amazon who keeps emailing me asking me if I'd be interested in reviewing their products, and I look at their products and their socks. And I've been deleting those emails, but maybe the next time one comes in. How would you like some pandemic socks from China?
No, thank you.
They're
no,
free.
REIs.
Mr.
REI
Sulzer
socks.
contributes £1. Thanks, you guys. Thanks for supporting the channel. I appreciate it very much. And to all the earlier contributions as well. We're just about ready to get this thing test fired for the very first time. All that remains is we have to put the motherboard into the case and plug a couple of wires on. and we'll be ready to test fire our first boot. But first, the dogs need a little cookie because they have just finished their dinner. And let me go to, where's the camera feed? Right over there.
So they get a cookie after they eat?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And they sent me, BarkBox sent me some Scooby snacks.
Oh, Scooby snacks. Oh, those are our favorites.
And they sent one of these things here. Oh, it's more Scooby snack. And I'm gonna just split this between the two boys here. What do you think, Lyle?
Oh, they hear that crinkle, they know.
Well, they've never had this before. You want this? Are you dancing? Look at it. You think he's putting on a show?
Yeah, he's trying. Anything I can do.
Let's see if I can break this in half equally. Oh man, I'm good. All right. For you? For you. Good boy. Good boy, Jimmy. All right, now they're done for the day as far as any food goes. John Young just contributed $10. John says, for my favorite YouTube channel. I'll forward it on to them, John. Thank you for that. Oh, that was for me? Oh, thank you. You ready to get back to work, Steve? Or are you still doing something over there?
I'm ready. So here's the question. I've got the power supply cables. I'm going to just tuck them in for
That's
now.
a brilliant
Does that sound good?
idea, and you know what? I am going to do the exact same thing. We're going to take these extra cables. We're just going to tuck them in and out of the way.
You're such a copycat.
I am, and then I'm going to lay the case flat like this.
All right.
All right. So you got that I/O shield facing down, and we're going to put the motherboard in. Now, pay attention.
I'm watching.
See how I grab the motherboard?
Just like we did before.
See the I/O ports?
Yep.
See the I/O shield?
Guess what? Uh-huh.
I'm going to put the board in on a little bit of an angle. It's going to kind of go in like this and line it up with those I/O ports. And then once I have the I/O ports aligned, as you can see, if I give you a nice close-up there,
The other thing about the I/O shield that I've never liked, it always felt cheap, chintzy.
yeah, well, it's got a pretty simple job to do. So it's not like it's got to be made out of corrugated steel.
Sure,
But
sure.
here, once the ports are aligned, and this will be kind of a hard thing for me to show, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to push the board towards the back, and the little center post standoff should go through the center hole in the motherboard, and will lock or hold the motherboard into that position for us. It won't move around. So again, I'm going to push this way towards the back, and it should just fall straight down over that post once I've aligned it correctly. Sometimes you may have to assist the board a little bit. I can see it, but it's not cooperating, so I'm going to grab my glasses so I can see a little better. It is dark inside of the case, and for most installations, the board will just simply slip over that post. There it goes. It just slipped over it. And then I'm going to look through the... Oh, I've got a missing standoff here, Steve. So don't follow along with me.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I've got one missing standoff.
Is that wait a minute, don't tell me which one, because I think I've got a missing one too.
Yeah. Well, you should, if you've been following along with me, then your case configuration should be the same as mine.
So we've got 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm missing 7. Let's count again.
Well, can I show you?
Oh, sure. Let me take a look.
If you recall, we put a standoff below the fan.
Right.
Right, there's two. There's one here and there's one there. And if you
Yeah,
go
you
straight
and the other one.
across and down,
Aha.
this hole right here should have a standoff. It's straight across and down just a little bit. So it's not the top hole, but this hole.
Okay.
Now we can use any
Sure.
of the standoffs that are extras that are, beyond the boundaries of this board. So if I just grab the one that's nearest, which is right down here, I can take this bottom one right down here, because the board stops right here. So these are standoffs for a larger motherboard. So I can take any of these extra standoffs and I want to move it to the lower of the two holes in the center here.
Gotcha. Okay, let me get a flashlight.
That should be right.
All right. Hold tight. Let me look at. Show me where you took the.
Well, it doesn't matter which
The
standoff, but if you
standoff
want to
from-
follow along, I took the standoff right here in the middle on the bottom, where there's now a shiny hole,
Okay.
and I moved it to the next hole up. Just from
Sure,
this
got it.
position, directly up
Yep.
to the first hole closest to where this once was.
Yeah. So now was it Anthony who said make sure to save the adapter?
Geo Johnson,
Geo Johnson. Yes. Great idea. Here it is.
you already needed it.
I needed it. I'm glad I didn't throw it away. All right.
Now I'm going to set my case back down onto its side, and once again, I'm going to reinsert the motherboard exactly as I did before, installing it on an angle, lining up the I/O ports with the holes in the I/O shield, and then pushing the board forward until the little center post holds the board in position. And then I want to inspect the mounting holes to make sure that the standoffs are now all visible through all the mounting holes. And it looks like we're dead on now. Everything looks good. So the next question is, which of these bags of screws is for mounting the board? How many screws do I need? I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Well, if I were you, I would use the M3 flat.
And I'm
What would you
gonna
use?
try the 6-32, the coarse threaded screws, because I think those are the ones.
Okay, I'm going to let you try before I open up a
Yeah,
bag.
I will know here in just a moment. If the screw won't even start, it's definitely not the right screw. Nope, that's the right screw.
Well, good. 6 of them.
6 of them. So there's 1.
4, 5, 6. Okay.
I'm going to do this opposite top corner, and then I'll set the case upright so everybody can watch at home. But you should be doing this with the case laying flat. Don't do it the way you're watching me do it.
Right, right.
Okay, so I just put 1 screw in. Right there. I'm going to put another screw in right here. This is hard to do. The camera's to my left and I'm not left-handed, so I'm going to try to be left-handed. I'll go right up here. That one went in. I can go over here to this one.
Aha, aha.
Aha, what?
I'm going to go back to my long $50 screwdriver
Okay.
because yours is tough to get into these back.
Making you work for it today.
Yeah, good.
So that's all 6 screws. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that's the little post I was talking about right there. Sorry, I was so zoomed in I didn't realize people weren't able to watch me, which defeated the whole point. So once again, I've got a screw here, just above the RAM. Right here's a little post right below the RAM. To the right, there's a screw. Down below, there's a screw. And then there are 2 screws here and here. There's a total of 6 screws installed. W. Trexel's contributed $2. He goes, here's a little something for the fur babies. Right on. Thank you. Dogs, thank you. Now, I don't need any more of these screws. And I will put them away. We're done with the screws for this entire build.
You may be. I've still got another screw to go.
Story of my life.
Yeah. All right, so let me count just to make sure we've got this. I've got 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then the center post, the one over by the RAM, is just a post that's where it fit in.
Yep. Perfect.
Okay.
And check your I/O shield. Can you access all of your I/O ports clearly? Is there
let's
just
see.
take a double check, double look, and make sure that
No, I think the USB above the PS2 is not terrific. I'm going to try pushing the I/O shield in. No, I don't like the way it looks. I'm going to do a little pushing.
Okay. This is the time to do that now. Sometimes people are they're so anxious and in such a hurry to build their machine that they overlook little things like this that could be permanently annoying. So this is your opportunity to get it right.
All right. I'm going to use the flathead part of the screwdriver.
Nick Powerman says, I love Steve's free magnetic light from Harbor Freight. I have 2 of those on my refrigerator.
Oh, did you see that? Yeah, these are for this kind of thing where I've got a magnet and I can click it in so I can see what I'm doing. Otherwise,
Nice.
I've got to hold this.
Sure. Look at you. Please ask Steve to move his mic away from his nose.
There, is that better?
I'll let you know. I just was making sure you were breathing. What's up, Lyle? You already ate, so I know it's not that.
All right, I think I've got the shield pushed in adequately,
Okay.
evenly. So we're now ready for the next. Okay.
All right. So whether or not you want to, well, I guess you're going to have to bring your case up onto its feet because you won't be able to access the power cables. We're going to hook up a few more cables and then we'll be ready to do our very first power on self-test. So let me just back this camera up a little bit here. And what I'm going to do is turn the case around, and we've got all of our front port umbilical cables running down the side here. And there are some wire ties. Now, Steve, these wire ties, they have wire in them. And anything that's got wire in it like this, we want to remove these and replace with nylon zip ties. Because what happens is these get brittle over time and they break. Then you've got a piece of metal floating around in your computer that can cause a short. So I recommend, highly recommend, removing any and all wire ties.
Okay.
And then,
do you save them for something
yeah,
else?
I will use them when I'm putting away cabling. You know, when I want to wrap it up and put it in a drawer.
Yeah,
I
right.
reuse these until I reuse them until they break. So I'm constantly throwing them away because I'm always having to replace my cabling in the kitchen because, you know, we have to eat in here and stuff. And by putting things away and twisting those wire ties, after so many twists, they just snap. So I go through a lot of them. Now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to remove the wire tie off the power supply cables, and we're going to separate these out. Just untangle them.
Yep, untangled.
Okay. Now, in your power supply bunch of cables here, you've got one that says, it kind of looks like this. It's two 4-pin connectors, and they should be kind of locked together. They like slide together to form one 8-pin connector. It doesn't really say anything on it. There's no words on it. Can you locate that?
Sure. I think I've got the same one. So there are 8 of them.
Yeah. Two.
And they're sort of connected together. Oh, they just came apart.
Yeah, connect them, keep them
Let's see
connected together.
Okay, sit tight.
You'll see that they slide together
Yeah,
from the top to the bottom, and they just lock in together.
and they do have writing. One says left, right, and then it says TKG.
Yeah, I don't know what that means, but they only go together with the two clips facing each other.
Sure. We're good.
You got it?
Yep.
Now, at the very top of this case, there's an opening, and we're going to place the cable in there.
Oh, that's a tight squeeze.
It's not too bad.
Okay,
You with me?
I'm with you.
All right, now, from the other side, locate that cable and pull it through.
Okay, let me get a flashlight. Oh, I see. Okay.
Now, on the top left corner of the motherboard, there's a
Yep.
connector, an 8-pin connector.
Yep.
Bear with me for a second. I have wrapped myself up in my cables.
I'm going to lay mine down because I can.
Okay, sorry.
It's all right. Is there an orientation? Doesn't look like.
Yeah, you're going to have the clips facing the outer edge of the board. Oh, no, I'm wrong. On this one, they're backwards. There's a little ridge on the bottom of this connector, this 8-pin connector.
Oh, I see it.
And the clips are going to go towards the bottom, and you're going to reach up and align the 8 pins with the socket, the 8-pin socket, and it's going to push on, and you should hear it click once it's locked in there. And most motherboards, that clip goes to the outer
Yep.
edge, but on our motherboard today, the clip goes on the inside. So it's one of those little variances to expect when you're building. Pay attention to where the clip goes. It will not go on the other way.
Okay.
You got it?
Done. Yep.
So back around to this side of the case, and you'll notice we have one very, very large power connector, and it's wrapped. Yes?
Yep. Yep.
I want you to just take that and put it in on an angle right through this opening here.
Let's see which opening.
I'm going to see it again?
Nope, got it.
Right in through there. And again, we're going to go around to the other side. Pull the slack through. And there is a little ridge right here on the right side of this large connector right here. This is where we're going to go.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to put the clip towards the outer edge and align all 24 pins with the socket and push firmly, and you'll hear it click, and you will see the board flex a bit. That's normal and nothing wrong with that. And that's what that's going to look like when you successfully plug that in.
Okay, it's in.
Perfect. You're moving along quite speedily. Nicely done. Just a few more connectors.
Cocktail it. Yeah.
These are easy. These are super easy. Going back around, you'll notice we have these cables running down. And then they're coming from where the switch and the, you've got your audio port up there, your USB port, your power switch, power LED. They're all up on the top of the case. That's where these wires are coming from. And if we follow them down, they go through here and they vanish. Where do they go? Where do they go? This is weird.
They stay in a little box at the
Yeah,
bottom.
there's a little baggie that they're in here. So once again, remove the wire tie, put it away, remove the baggie.
So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4.
Now, you see this large connector? It's got a blue end to it. That's our USB 3.0 front port header. And we're going to bring that down through here. I'm sorry, there's an opening right under here. That's going to go right up there.
Got it.
Now, remember when we were hooking up the front cables earlier, you noticed where it said USB 3.0 right next to where we were plugging the wires in for the hard drive LED.
Yeah, got it.
There's a notch in that connector on the top of it, and so the notch on the plug will align, and it just goes on with friction, and it'll just lock in.
Easy.
That's what I want to hear. Coming back around to the other side, let's see what other connectors we've got to plug in. This is a USB Type-C front panel connector. A lot of people have never seen these before. It's got a little plastic cover on it. I don't know why they do that.
Yep.
It's just so
To
I
keep it covered.
Yeah, to keep it free of detritus.
Yeah, that's right.
See, there, you may not recognize the connector with the cover on it. That's what it looks like, and then the cover comes off, or the cap. Now, I don't know if this board has a USB front port for Type-C. I don't recall seeing one. It doesn't appear the motherboard will support this, so we're not going to hook it up. It's just not going to be active.
Too bad.
Oh, well. There's one less adapter you have to buy. So, yeah, we'll just put the cap back on, and that'll just get wire managed and put away. Maybe we'll be upgrading. We'll make another video in a couple years when we upgrade this motherboard, and you'll be able to use this connector on the new upgraded board by then.
All right, do you want to do audio?
Well, you see this one, it says F panel.
I know what that is, Carey. You can't fool me.
We're going to take this the same route as the USB 3. We're going to put it up through the same hole back here. Now, where do you think this cable goes?
Oh, it's going to go to the front panel with all of those pins that Anthony said was a pain in the butt.
Yeah, this thing we hooked up earlier.
Right.
Right here. Only plugs in one way. You'll notice there's a pin missing on the plug.
Uh-huh.
So just align it with the missing pin. Actually, that looks like there's several missing pins on the plug side. So that's going to go in just like this. Just pushes together. What do you think? Can you handle that?
I am. It's just lighting and eyesight.
Yeah.
Okay,
You good?
good.
All right, the last wire. This is it, man. We only have one wire left, and then we'll be ready to test fire this bad boy. This is our front port audio connector for hooking up headphones. Looks like it's only a headphone jack. There's no microphone jack on this one. So the case is a little limited with our ports up front, but you know, 70 bucks, what do you want? This is going to go right over the power supply. Can you tell where I'm putting it? I can't really.
Let me take off my glasses again and take a close look.
See the power supply back here? There's like a little opening.
Oh yeah, I've already got the wire in.
All
yeah,
right.
It goes the same route as everybody else.
No, this one goes a little different. This one, because if you look inside the case, we've got two holes, one on the right, one on the left. We're going to go on the left side because our front port audio connector on almost all motherboards is going to be in this left quadrant towards the back of the case. And it's starting to get a little dark and it's hard to see, but this white connector says F audio. And there's a pin missing on one row of pins, and there's a pin blocked on one row of pins on this connector.
Okay.
And it looks like the blocked pin is on the bottom row. So with the connector here, it says HD audio. Make sure that faces down. And then align the pins with the plug and just push it on until it bottoms out against the back of the board.
All right, hold on. Ugh. Okay. Let's see, we've got, oh, sure.
You see how I did that?
Yep, the pins, actually with the pins missing, there's only one way it can go on.
Correct, and so it'll be with the, well, that's why they do that specifically.
Smart.
And you want it, when you push these on, make sure that they bottom out fully to the motherboard.
Yeah.
Because there's no clip or anything to hold it in.
All right. What I'm going to do, oh, hello, Pogo. Welcome. I'm going to go through and just make sure every
Great idea.
wire connector is tight. Okay, so this one's good. Power is tight.
It occurs to me we've not hooked the two case fans up. Now these case fans on your build are optional. You don't have to plug them in. But why don't we, since we're having so much fun and success? We've got the rear case fan and the top case fan. And those are sort of pre-wired or pre-wire managed, I should say, here on the back of the case. And one of these cables is a lot longer than the other one. And I want to look on the motherboard to see where we have available fan headers. So let me just take a sneak peek in here and see where we can route these. It looks like we only have one spare fan header on this motherboard.
Oh, boo-hoo.
Well, we can put a fan splitter on there if it's really important to you, but as I mentioned, either one of these fans is fully optional. In general, I recommend people either have a fan on the back blowing air out or on the top blowing air out. I don't really think it's going to make any difference to have them both. Pick one or the other. I'm going to hook up the rear fan, that's the traditional way, and I'm going to plug it into the system fan header, which is located right behind the Ethernet plug on the I/O shield here on the motherboard. It
Sure.
says
Got it.
it says SYS fan 1 on the circuit board.
Uh-huh.
And what I have
Uh-huh.
to do is figure out which of these two cables back here. That's the top fan. This is the rear fan. So I've got to remove this cable that NZXT is so neatly placed through this wire management area.
Oh, there's a tie. Got to get rid of the tie, Carey.
Yep, we have to get rid of the tie. Good eye. It's a little wire tie holding the power cable for the rear fan right there.
All right, so this is the shorter wire.
There doesn't seem to be any real clean way to bring this. I guess we can come in from the bottom if you want to. Oh, it's just an inch too short for us to do that.
No, it can go right up through the top.
It can, but you'll be left with a lot of excess. But we can absolutely, in fact, that's the only way we can run it because we don't have enough cable.
Yeah.
So we'll run it right in through the top up here, like where we run the 8-pin CPU power cable.
Mm-hmm.
And so people can see at home. I know you can see it, Steve, but so people can see at home. And this is pretty typical on a lot of gigabyte boards that I work on. There is a system fan header right about right there. Lighting's getting real bad.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to worry too much about this cable management right now. Obviously, that's something we can deal with. There's the plug has little grooves in it, so it only goes on one way. It's a 3-pin plug, and it's going to plug onto a 4-pin fan header. And the way you know which of those 3 pins is where the little tab aligns with the grooves, and it just pushes straight on.
Yep.
So it's going to look like that. Right there. That's our fan plug. As I mentioned, we don't have another fan header in here, so we're not going to hook that top fan up. We can get a pretty cheap fan splitter if it's important to you to have both fans, but I'm telling you they won't make any difference in your cooling as long as one or the other is on. Consider the other one a spare, so when one of the fans, when the fan goes bad, you can swap it. That's what I would do.
Okay, I'm going to take the wire and push it back out from where it came.
That's a good idea.
And then we can wrap it in the back.
Yep, that's exactly what you should do. Yeah, we can wire tie that back here, and that keeps at the front of the case. You know, you'll take all these extra cables, you push them all out towards the back because we have a lot of room behind the motherboard. And that's a really nice, clean look.
Yeah, it really is. It looks good.
Mm-hmm. Now, are you ready to test fire? We're going to need a keyboard, a mouse, a power cable, and a monitor. Now, I'm going to use the folks' monitor at home for my monitor. You won't be able to do that.
Okay, so
because you're not special.
I've got a couple of things here. Okay, let's lay this down.
I've got my keyboard and mouse out. I'm turning them on. This is the
you're so fast.
wireless dongle.
How did you do that?
I'm just going to plug that in to the top USB port, although it doesn't matter, any USB port. And I need an HDMI cable. The motherboard has built-in, well, the CPU has built-in graphics. So on the back of the I/O shield, you'll see we've got a DVI port here and an HDMI port here. I'm going to use the HDMI port. And I'm going to plug into the back of our viewers' monitors at home. Lyle, you have to get off my HDMI cables. Okay, now it's wrapped around your foot. How did you do that? Huh, my dog is in HD now. Okay, HDMI cable is going to go right there on the back of the board. And then I need a power cable. Make sure, I was going to say make sure the power supply switch is in the off position. I now realize why these power supplies were so inexpensive. It doesn't have an on-off switch.
Yeah.
In this case, if you have a power supply is a cheap one like this and it doesn't have an on-off switch, you can always plug it into a surge protector and use the on-off switch on the surge protector. It's doing the same function, just in a different location. Okay, let me know when you're ready.
How'd you do that so fast?
I've done it a few times before. Do you have a monitor you can use over there?
Sure, I'm getting it, but I've got to get the power. Let's see. I've got to move some stuff around here.
I'm going to start putting all the spare parts in the motherboard box. I think I need to throw one of these Carey Holzman mouse pads in. Of course, we have the Wi-Fi adapter to add, but we want to make sure everything boots and works correctly before we add anything, any extra peripherals that aren't required for immediate boot up, so that if it doesn't boot, we have less things to diagnose.
Okay, monitor.
So many noises.
Oh, I gotta do a lot of bending.
Be glad you still can.
Yeah, really. Okay. HDMI.
While you're doing that, I'm just going to clean up some of this wiring just to get it out of my way for a minute. I'll put a wire tie on here just to temporarily hold these cables out of the way.
Okay, tell me when you're ready.
Well, we can't see your monitor at
wait a
all,
minute.
can we?
Sure, I can arrange that.
Ooh, look at that monitor.
Can you see it?
I see the bottom of it. Can you raise the camera up a bit?
Sure.
Knitting Jam says, don't worry, Steve. Carey was making those same noises yesterday when he was moving that huge computer case. I'm still...
Is that the one on the back behind you?
Yeah, somebody said it looked like a Buick. It's pretty big. That's a beautiful monitor. Look at that. Plastic is still on.
Sure, so where's the on-off switch? Hold on.
Oh, for the monitor?
Huh. Yeah, there we go. Is it coming on?
I can't tell. Your screen is...
I can't either. Huh. All right, let's see. I've got power in.
You know what? I'm going to move this power cable to the other side so I can turn the case a little bit.
Huh. Oh, I see. There we go. All right. How's the, so you can see everything?
Yeah. Yeah, looks good.
All right.
Tell you,
I'm going to turn the machine
are
on.
you going to go first?
Yeah, better. Well, why don't you
You
go
want me to go
first?
first?
Sure. This way we'll see if yours works. If it doesn't, we can all have a good
All
laugh.
right, that's fair. What's in this for me again?
Sourdough.
Oh, yeah, I'm totally on this. All right, so what I'm going to do, I need to figure out a way to add another camera source here. Add video capture device. Should be camera 2. Let's minimize that down a little bit. All right, so here's, let's see how clever I can get. I'm going to put this between us. You ready?
I'm ready.
Fans are turning. Power
Good.
light is on, so the light LED is on the correct order. And then if you're watching the YouTube feed, Steve, you won't see this on your Skype feed. It says no signal right now, but that's normal because the machine should be initializing and recognizing.
Sure, we're just doing a post,
Right,
right?
power on, self-test, POST.
Yeah.
And it may take 60 to 90 seconds for the machine to boot the first time. It's got nothing to boot to. There's no operating system. I just got the post screen and it says there's no bootable device found. So we're ready to install Windows 10 on mine. I'm going to hit the power button to shut it off.
Okay, I'm going to turn mine on. Okay, the power light came on. Both fans came on.
Yeah, I can see that. Very good. Again, I'm going to give it up to about 60 to 90 seconds.
I've got a beautiful orange
Oh, there's a little
glow
strip.
on the.
Yeah. And that can be turned
Yeah,
on and
yeah.
off in the BIOS. You can disable that if you find that it's annoying you because there is a glass panel on this case.
No. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on the lights on that Sony
Speaker,
portable
the
speaker,
Bluetooth speaker.
and I'm going to buy a bunch of LED lights.
And are you going to play some Donna Summer?
Okay. Yes, I'm down to summer.
Excellent. Now, did you make a USB Windows 10 media installation USB drive following my how-to video?
Right
It
here.
looks like your computer is booted correctly, so go ahead and hit the power button and shut the computer off. Now plug your flash drive into any blue USB port on the back of the case. I'm going to follow along right with you here. I've got my Windows 10 media. You can build your own. This is Windows 10 version 2004, meaning that it came out in the 4th month of the year 2020, right? 20 is the year, 04 is the month. Even though technically it came out in 05, it should be 2005. I'm just going to take any USB blue port back here, plug that in, and I'm going to turn camera 2 input back on, and I'm going to turn the machine back on. You and I will follow along together. You shouldn't have to touch a thing, Steve. It's the only bootable device in the computer, so it should just automatically boot to the USB flash drive and offer you, yeah, there it is. Mine is doing the same thing. I started a few seconds after you did. And now you'll have to use your mouse and keyboard. And what we're going to do here is click Next.
I can't see where we are. Oh.
On your screen in front of you, you can't see it?
I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to grab my headset cable. I'm going to come around here. Move stuff around so I don't pull anything. There we go.
Okay, so you see so you hit Next, it says Install Now. Did you get to that point?
Yep.
And
Setup is starting.
right, and then the next screen,
Yep.
I think it asks you to agree to the end use. Oh no, here it wants a product key. If you look down below, it says I don't have a product key. It's way down at the bottom center of that window.
Right.
Click I don't have a
Mm-hmm.
product key. Then it wants to know what version of Windows you want to install. If you had entered a product key, it would have known what version of Windows that product key was for.
Sure.
We're going to be entering a Windows 10 Pro product key later on. So choose Windows 10 Pro, your second option from the
All right.
bottom.
Can you see the whole monitor?
I'm kind of looking at mine. Why?
Okay. No, I'm just going to move this so people can see.
Let me take a.
Right.
Let me move back to. It's quite a reflection there, but they're assuming you're following along with me screen for screen, and my screen is a crystal clear
Okay.
shot. In fact, I will make my screen a little bigger. Okay, so select Windows 10 Pro and hit Next.
Yeah, I did. I'm
So-
over at accepting the license.
So you accept the license agreement and click Next. Then choose Custom. Right, have you got to the option if it wants?
Sure. Now, where do you want to install Windows?
Okay, so let me catch up with you. Custom install. Now, it says drive 0, unallocated space, 953.9 gigs.
It's the only drive we have,
Correct.
so that's the right
So
one.
hit Next. And now Windows 10 is going to automatically put on multiple partitions, format those partitions, and install Windows 10 on your drive. Just kick back and watch how fast Windows 10 installs on your brand new machine.
Wow.
So what did you think of the process?
Overall, there were three times that I felt some discomfort. One was setting up the pins for the LEDs and the switch, because getting those in the right spot took a little work. I need to get bifocals. So that was one. The other, getting that shield in correctly, that was tough.
Yeah,
it was
that's
annoying.
a common challenge I hear from people. You're not alone there.
The third, I remember when we did the build your own machine race for Tiger Direct, and I would look at all of the cables coming from the power supply. And in those days, we had to do hard drives, DVDs. There was even, I think there was a CD and a DVD. So we had multiple connections, like an octopus, had to decide where all those went.
Yeah, yeah. And now look,
So
we're
when I looked at
already
that
doing our
mass-
first reboot, by the way. Is yours also there?
Yeah. No. I'm getting files ready for installation.
Okay.
That's probably because I touched the thermo thing between the cooler and the CPU.
It's that detritus.
And it's detritus. It reduced our speed just by a little bit. All right, I'm still getting files ready
No,
for
I think your
installation.
flash
about
drive is not as
86%.
fast as mine. You probably got a $1.50 flash drive from the swap
That's
meet.
it.
And I've got a
Yeah.
$20 flash drive that you would have spent $5 on because, 16 gigs is 16 gigs.
I got it at courtside at the RV
Yeah,
show.
I can tell.
Actually, it was a free one.
You got what you paid for. The only reason my system is running faster than Steve's is my USB drive is faster than Steve's. And that's why I buy fast drives. This is why. I just get stuff done faster. But I do it all the
it's
time.
okay.
You're going to
Yeah,
install Windows 10 once in a while. I install Windows 10 multiple times a day. So anyway, so back in the day, you had a lot more cables to hook up. You used to have jumpers to configure for IRQ and COM port settings. Those days are long behind us now with universal plug and pray.
Oh, I miss those IRQ conflicts, Carey. They were so much fun.
Well, they certainly separated the men from the boys. All right, Steve, I'm giving you this computer I built so you can have two that match. What name would you like me to put on it? On
On
the
this
one
one,
I've got here in my kitchen, what name would you
uh,
like? It's going to ask me for a username.
oh, that's
This will be Judy?
Judy's
So just
PC.
Judy then.
Yeah, Judy is fine. She knows it's a PC.
Glad to hear that. All right, so first thing comes up, it wants to know my country. I don't think I need to tell you. I'm in the United States, and I have a US layout keyboard, so I'll click yes. And then it asks me if I want to add a second language to my keyboard layout. I'm going to skip that. It's important that we are not connected to the internet during this process, or it will force you to create a Microsoft account. It's very important that you are not connected to the internet
Oh,
with the box. So it comes up and it says, hey, I noticed you've got an Ethernet.
they are such a
So
pain
I
in
click
the
right
butt.
down here on the bottom left, if you can see. Well, it says I don't
Uh-huh.
have internet. Now it says, are you sure you want to continue with a limited setup? Which means basically they're asking you twice to create a Microsoft account. We want a local account, so I'll continue with limited setup, which is, a local account. It says, okay, what name do you want for the local account? I'll put in Judy.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Somebody said, do you remember
Of
ISA
course.
slots?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
I do.
Okay, so Judy, and I'll hit next. It's going to want a password. I skip that. We'll just leave it as blank.
And it's JUDY. Did you do
Is that how it's done?
JUDY?
Is there any other spelling?
Yeah, it's not JUDI. She'll
Oh,
shoot you.
well, we can't do that again.
Yeah, JUDI.
So I'm going to turn off all of the
Which is
privacy settings
JUDY.
except for location, because location will automatically set your time zone. I personally find the location setting decent, but you can change this when you get it. And I hit accept, and it's just going to, it wants to know about Cortana. I'm going to click no on Cortana. Again, it asks you twice, and now it finalizes the install, and we just wait. How you doing over there?
I'm doing good. I'm at, there's more to discover when you
Yeah.
have the internet. I'm going to say continue with
Yeah.
limited setup like you
And
did.
again, right back in.
I'm going to put in my name.
Let's take a look in the chat. I haven't looked in the chat here for some time. Let's see what I've missed. You can just skip it. You can leave it blank. I'm just looking through the comments to see if we missed anything here. Where is the Carey Holzman store? Just go to careyholzman.com or shop careyholzman.com or careyholzmanshop.com. Any of those will take you to the shop.
Okay, they're getting everything ready for me. That's where I'm at.
So the takeaway from this is building a computer is so easy that somebody who's never
There's
built
no
a
need
computer
for
before
consultants.
was able to easily follow along with me, and it worked right on the first try. But do notice that Steve paid very close attention when it came to the cabling and the positive and the negatives. He initially had the power switch on the reset switch setting. These little tiny details are the hardest part of building a computer. If you pay attention to these little details, you'll find the process is very, very simple. It's not something that you would go at sort of, what's the word I want to use? Don't be too confident.
Helter Skelter.
It's not helter skelter.
Yeah,
You want your full
right.
attention when you do this, right? Make sure you're focused and paying attention for the details. It's not difficult. It's very easy.
Carey,
But the details are what's going.
time. The waitress just came in. She wants to know. Yeah, they're just taking drink orders.
It's getting to be 5 o'clock.
This is quite the restaurant. Okay,
Yeah. So anyway, you can see just
5
firsthand.
o'clock. No, it's 6:15. We are.
Go ahead, Steve.
So somebody in chat said, "How come yours is
I already
faster
explained
than
that,
mine?"
didn't I?
Did you start
I have
quicker
a
or
faster USB drive.
no? You
Didn't
did.
I?
You
Did
said
I
the flash
just
drive,
talk
but
about
we're
the
away
flash
from the
drive for
flash drive.
about 20 minutes?
No, no. Of course you did. But would you be quiet? We finished with the USB flash drive. Now everything is processing here.
No.
Well, somebody
No.
mentioned that on chat.
Yours is the same speed
Yes.
as mine.
No?
The only time it was
All
slower
right.
was when it was pulling from the flash drive.
Okay.
And you're not clicking the things as quickly as I was, so I was getting through it faster. You're the same performance, the same memory, everything is the same. Okay, all I was trying to say was you can see just how easy it is to build a machine.
Sure.
And we've done all
Yes.
this live, unscripted and unrehearsed. There were
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
all the parts were brand new in the box. You saw me cut the tape on the boxes, no dent on arrival parts. And Steve is not a computer builder. It's not something that he's only done that a handful of times over the years, and things have changed quite a bit since the last time he did it. That's his first time installing an M.2 drive. Now, there is a lot of configuration for us to do together, Steve, but we're running out of time tonight. So I think we should pick this up, and we should go through the configuration options, installing the SSD toolbox from Intel, installing the NVMe driver from Intel, installing the Wi-Fi card, getting you set up on the Wi-Fi. But what you can do in the meantime is you can finish, well, your Windows 10 is finished. You can, if available, plug in an Ethernet card and go to Windows Update and grab all your Windows updates. We'll get you a product code so you can activate Windows. And so when you and I talk again, all we have to do is configure Windows, download that SSD Toolbox software. We'll throw, I recommend Malwarebytes, but if you have an antivirus you like to use, throw that on there. And
Sure. I've also picked up all of the. I picked up the current drivers for the gigabyte.
you shouldn't need them. Everything
board,
should come in through,
so
it should all come in through
those.
Windows Update automatically now, in theory.
Okay.
Now, there are
Okay.
new AMD chipset drivers, which, you're going to get some AMD chipset drivers from Windows Update. They may not be the latest and greatest. And we'll check the motherboard to see if we have the latest BIOS installed. So all of that remains for us to do. And this is really optional as far as I'm concerned. It's really about, now we're fine tuning. Like the hard work is behind us. It works.
Sure.
But can we make
Sure.
it work a little faster, a little more optimal? I think we can. And then, of course, like I said, a little administrative work, like activating Windows.
I've got to do the ties yet. You're right. The Wi-Fi card, the Bluetooth, that's going to go in.
There's no cabling with that, though.
I've got to go.
No cabling.
There's no cabling. No, there really isn't. Well, we have an antenna that sticks out. Got to get all of Windows tweaked. I mean, that's going to take 20 minutes, 30 minutes of, changing all of the settings, the privacy settings.
And you can uninstall like Candy Crush and some other nonsense that
Can do
I like
that.
to put the VLC media player on and take off.
Candy Crush. Take off. Did
No,
my sound go off?
I just thought you were saying something there, so I didn't want to talk over you.
No, it was the Candy Crush that I
Oh.
was so excited about because.
Well,
it's
after
such
you
a
go to
great
Windows,
game.
you don't have Candy Crush yet, but after you go to Windows Update a couple times, it'll suddenly appear. So we'll go through the apps and we'll uninstall. I get rid of Microsoft Groove and I get rid of Microsoft Movie and TV Player. I replace that with VLC. It's my preference. Like I said, I like to put on Malwarebytes. I run the Uncle Carey's Windows 10 optimizer on it just to go through an automated process of many of the.
By the way, everybody needs to buy that.
Oh, have you used it?
That is a great product.
Basically,
it's
not
powerhouse.
It's not anything you can't do by hand. It's just time consuming. And this automates it into like a 20-second process.
Oh,
And it's $10.
Who wants to do it by hand? You just press the button.
Yeah, it's $10 and
20.
is it $20? I thought it was $10 for the optimizer. I think you're thinking of the
It was
Netfix.
20. Yeah, it's 20.
I have to look and see.
Oh, I'm thinking of the
Either
Netflix.
way, that's available. All the links for my Netfix tool and my Windows 10 optimizer are in the video notes below the video. If you want it, buy it. If you don't want it, don't.
Hold it. The waitress just came in. Hold it.
How long have you been?
Oh, 10 minutes, 15 minutes to
Hi. Hi,
where's the
Judy.
camera?
How long have you and Judy been together now?
To the 66, 67. It's almost
And
70
you and
years.
she's okay with you calling her your waitress? Nicely done.
Sure. We've been married 48 years, and she
You've
keeps
been
serving me
married for
drinks. Where's the camera? So
well, I think I know the
congratulations.
secret to a 48-year marriage. A lot of drinks.
Well, this was a great experience. I now can do a build with
Well,
you
now you
anytime.
understand the basics, and we can only build from here. Everything else will always it will always follow the same structure, right? Motherboard, processor, RAM. We just use a more expensive motherboard, a more expensive processor, more expensive RAM, more expensive case, more expensive power supply. That's, maybe we throw a graphics card in there if we want to make it a gaming machine, and we hook power up to the graphics card. That's
Yeah,
one more
yeah,
power cable, or
yeah.
sometimes two more power cables. That's the build, man. Regardless if it's Intel or AMD, it doesn't really change much. So I want to thank you for.
Well, I'm ready. Oh, I want to thank you. No,
I don't
no.
think anybody's ever done this
Now
before. I
you
don't think
go.
there's ever been a
Now you say
remote. I
thank.
don't think there's ever been a remote build done. And if there has been done, I don't think it went as successfully as this went. I mean, we took everything out of the box from parts to boot up in just over 3 hours. And that's from somebody who's never done it before.
So yeah, what did we start? We started at 3:30 after we got through with
That's
the
true.
sourdough and the
So it
dogs
was
and the
actually under
chatting.
3 hours.
So, so we started, yeah, 3:30, 4:30, 5:30, 6:30. The best 3 hours I've spent all day.
Nice. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And
All right.
and I'm getting hungry, and that sourdough is calling my name.
All right. When listen, even though we're still on, when you're ready to do pizza, call me.
All right.
We'll do a Skype,
Maybe
and
I'll
I'll
do
show
that
you how to do
sometime
the pizza.
next week, maybe.
All right.
I got my pizza stone. I'm ready to go.
You have a pizza stone. What does your oven go up to? What's the highest temperature?
600, maybe, I think.
Check.
550,
600.
600.
No.
I don't know. I never put it up higher
550.
than
550.
550. All right, it's probably 550.
Oh, you're gonna have to. You have a Trader Joe's in Glendale, right?
I do.
Trader Joe's.
Yeah.
Good. You're gonna go to Trader Joe's. You're gonna follow my instructions. We'll do this pizza build together.
We're going to do a pizza build. I like it, apparently.
All right.
All right, we've got, let's see how many people have been watching us here. Looks like 740 people watching live right now. Let me give a shout out and a thank you to all the people that contributed during today's live stream. W. Trexel, Eddie Sawyer said contributed $2. Michael Dane with a $5 contribution. He says, hey, Teach Holzman, student waving his hand, can I go use the restroom and get a drink of water? All right, take the hall pass. Daniel Pexton has contributed $2. He says he likes the dual builds. John Young with a $10 contribution. Thomas Beckenstowe with a $20 contribution. He says this is a wonderful show with Steve. Winston Ang Liu and Mr. Solzer.
It was.
Hugh Wong, David R. Officer, Joseph Hawkins, Bill Ottinger, Gamma Goblin Miller, Jean-Francois Pelgrims, John Wilson, Hugh Wong, Hal Darpini, Stuart McMillan, Ryan Farmer with that 100-pound contribution. Thank you so much, Ryan. Mike Yazzie with his $20 contribution. Wayne Bennett and Ricky Saunders, Scott Hallinan and Sharon Idle, David R. Officer again, John Phillips, Winston Ang Liu again, and Rick Hubbard, Geo Johnson, Niles Van de Sand, Ronaldo Torres, Zdravko Frankovic, Ed Schwartz, Thomas Beckenstowe with a $100 contribution. That's 120 total from Thomas today. Thank you, Thomas. David Griswold, Mark Stevens, twice in a row there. And Frankie B with a $50 contribution. And kicking us all off was Rain One Full with a $2 contribution. And once again, a very generous contribution from John Wilson, John Jack Wilson, they call him Jack. And there's Steve, we can see him now. Steve, you ready to do this again? This was the rehearsal. None of this was actually live. This was just a dry run.
We're going to take these. We're going to give this to a veteran, and we're going to start another build with a larger hard drive, larger SSD, more RAM. Yeah, we're going to do a bigger. I want a massive ATI video card.
You know, they went out of business a long time ago. No.
Is ATI still around?
They're now owned by AMD. AMD
Did
bought.
They really? I still have an ATI card.
ATI is now AMD.
Something? So you mean the ATI card I have in the garage? I'm not going to get no support on it anymore.
You could try. I'm sure it won't be the craziest thing they've heard all day. Jean Thames contributed $10. Says, I enjoy you guys and really enjoyed the stream. And it seems like we're having a little delay here, Steve. So we're going to go ahead and wrap it up for today. Thanks to all my friends in blue for having keeping it civil in the chat room today, and for your participation and your kindness and support to each other as well as the community at large. It's amazing that we're creating here, and thank you all for being a part of it. And Zdravko says, in Croatia, the J is like a Y. Zdravko Frendjovic. So I guess I have to learn how to pronounce his name. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for hanging out with me on this Friday night. Again, June 5th, 2020. That's going to wrap it up for me and, of course, for my good friend joining us from Pasadena, California. This guy right over there. That's Steve Bass. Say goodbye, Steve Bass. All right.
Adios, Carey.
All right, everybody. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you all again. Hopefully, I'll be back tomorrow with another video if all goes well. Until then, bye for now.